Calendar in the matter of Stouch versus Stalling. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sarah, have a seat, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Stouch, was this a first wedding for both of you?
First for him, second for me.
According to your complaint, you booked the defendant's hall for your wedding.
Correct.
You were unhappy with what you saw when you finally saw it, and you want her to give you back all kinds of money, including a whole bunch for your aggravation.
Yes.
When was your wedding scheduled?
August 11th.
And when did you book the defendant's hall?
Right around June 5th.
Where is the defendant's hall located?
In Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
And where were you living?
Kansas City, Kansas.
Why were you getting married in Arkansas?
Well, we've learned a lot about Arkansas, about Eureka Springs, a nice little village, and...
How far is it from...
It's 5 hours, but there's a lot of wedding chapels in Eureka.
So you mean you were schlepping everybody out there, this 5-hour drive?
Yeah, a lot of his family and friends are from
The area.
That's what I'm getting at. So a lot of your family was actually there already.
They were within 2 hours away.
Okay. And you booked the place sight unseen?
Over the internet, we found it.
Over the internet, but sight unseen. You never went to look at it.
Right.
You never went to look at it? You never had any of your family or friends who live in Arkansas go to look at it?
No, my family is 2 hours away from Arkansas.
That's okay. A 2-hour trip. Which family? You have parents, sisters, brothers?
Sisters, brothers, and...
So you say to your brother or your sister, do me a favor, take a ride up to this place. I saw it on the internet. You know, I think it's a nice place. I'd like you to take a look at it and make sure it's, you know, what we think it is. All right. So you went to look at the chapel how much before the wedding?
We showed up a day before the wedding. We had no reason to believe that it wasn't going to be a nice place. The pictures on the internet shows us it's nice. We're not supposed to just assume that it's a, you know, a dump.
Well, that's what you found. According to you, you found that it was a dump, right?
According, yes, but the internet pictures were totally different.
How much of a deposit had you given her?
A $200 deposit.
And she was supposed to provide other things as well. Food, right?
Supplied food.
Cake?
Cake.
Now, you got there a day before you saw this place, and it was, according to you, a dump.
Very much so.
So what'd you do?
Spent the whole next day trying to find a new place. I went to the Chamber of Commerce. I went to try to get a hold of her. It took many hours to get a hold of her. The Chamber finally got a hold of her for us. I explained to her that we couldn't get married there. She refused to give us any money back. Then the Chamber actually got a hold of her, and she decided to give us $275 and give us the food and the cakes. But the cake was, in my opinion, unedible. It tasted like the place smelled.
Shh. I'd just like to see some photographs if you have them. I'm not to you yet.
There's before what it was supposed to look like. And then there's some. We have quite a few that we've taken of what it actually looks like.
Okay.
And if you'll notice, the floor is completely destroyed. And on the internet picture, it looks like the floor is brand new.
This is the picture that you're showing me of what the inside of the chapel looked like on the internet,
Yes.
right? Do you have this picture?
No.
Well, and I can't tell what it looked like, what this picture looked like.
Do they have a picture of it being destroyed, the floor being destroyed?
Yes, we do.
They have pictures of the floor looking a little bit seedy, but
That's where we have to stand when we were getting married.
That doesn't impress me one way or another. One are outside pictures, one are inside pictures.
Correct.
So let me understand this. You gave her a $200 deposit.
Yes.
She gave you back $275, right?
Correct.
She gave you all the food, right?
Correct.
So what do you want?
We paid more than $275. We didn't pay just a $275 deposit.
Well, what did you pay?
Yeah, the total was $857.53. We also had to come up with another $857 to get married somewhere.
On a last minute.
On that day, we had to find another place to get married. There was no way we could have got married there.
Based upon the pictures that you show me, I don't see that there's any way that you couldn't gotten married there.
Would you have gotten married there?
I don't know. I can't tell from your pictures, sir.
Look at the outside. There's beer bottles outside.
I'm not talking about the outside. I'm talking about the inside.
Well, the
Beer
outside has a
bottles?
lot to do with it.
Listen
Beer
to me. You're
bottles?
talking, hey, don't speak to him.
I'm sorry.
You're talking about misrepresentation. Do you understand? You're talking about misrepresentation. You showed me a picture on the internet, this photograph,
Correct.
So what I asked you is, show me this picture of what this area was when you arrived. You don't have that picture. So I cannot make a judgment as to whether this picture misrepresented to you what the place looked like. You got a responsibility. Listen, I made a lot of weddings in my life, got a lot of kids, and I got married a couple of times myself. I never chose a place to get married based upon a picture. Never.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tony and Nicole Stouch say they rented Sheindlin Stalling's wedding site via the internet. The Stouches say the location turned out to be a dump.
Now, if she gave you $275 back in cash, plus she gave you all the food for the wedding.
There's no way we could have came up with the food and the cake.
We had to take the food. We didn't want the food. We had less than 24 hours left.
Did you have other people cater the wedding?
No, she was
So you
in charge of
used
catering.
that food to feed your people.
If we didn't use that food, we would have been out food and cake. We had to use that food, yes.
So you used it. That's what you
Yes,
used to feed
but
your...
it was awful.
I've been to weddings where the chicken was rubbery myself. That doesn't mean that the people sued them.
He works evenings, I work days. There was no possible way to even, I mean, we couldn't have done it.
Let me explain something to you. That's your responsibility.
It's also her responsibility to have a website that the pictures and her place looks like. I mean,
That's your responsibility. You're planning a wedding. Some people may like to plan a wedding in a dungeon. Some people may think it's kinky. Some people like to get married jumping out of airplanes, holding hands with a rabbi, right? Not my thing. Some people like to get married at the top of a roller coaster. They think that that's interesting. It's not my thing. You were charged with the obligation of choosing a place. You chose this place based upon this picture.
And based on talking to her and telling us how nice it was.
Right. Well, what is she supposed to say? She's supposed to say it's not nice?
Well, it's not nice.
That's your fault. Send your sister over to the place and say, listen, we're contemplating doing this place. Do me a favor. Take a 2-hour ride. I want to make sure that this place, the whole place, is similar to this one picture that I saw on the internet. You didn't do that. What are you complaining about? You got married. You had your family and friends there. You had food. The food wasn't great. You know what you do when you do a wedding? You go to the place and you say, this is the place? Good. Now I want a tasting. You're going to supply the food. I'd like to taste whatever you say that you're going to provide so that I can select a menu. That's what people do. If you're doing this thing over the phone, you run certain risks. You had opportunities. You work days, you work nights. I'm sure that both of you don't work 7 days a week.
6 days.
Well, that's not 7. On the 7th day, you travel. If it's so important to you to see what the place looks like and to select the menu, you get in the car and you go there and take a look to see what it's about. You don't come in kvetching later that the place didn't look nice when I got there. Listen, you got married, be happy. Goodbye. Case is dismissed.
All right, excuse you may step out.
The Miracle Mansion is not the place to get married.
I'm not ashamed of my building.
My wedding was pretty much ruined.
And my website pictures are accurate.
It was awful.
Yeah, this is case number 286 on the calendar in the matter of Wrightham versus Wood. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Bird, I want you to trust me on this one.
I trust you all the time.
You're going to love this case. It seems that the plaintiff, and I'm just summarizing the facts as I understand them from the complaint, you went over to visit a friend.
Yes, ma'am.
This friend lives in a complex that is managed by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Where's the friend?
Laura Rick.
She lives in the complex, or did?
I did.
Did.
And your car was there
Yes.
in the parking lot of the complex?
Yes.
And for some reason or another, you got really loaded.
Yes, ma'am.
And about what time was it that you arrived at her apartment and got really loaded?
It was approximately 6:45 in the morning. I had just gotten off work.
And you came to her apartment and started to drink?
Yes, ma'am.
And for how long did you drink?
I can't say for sure. It was a matter of 2 hours.
Long time. And then, I gather, according to what I've read in your complaint, you blacked out.
Yes.
But it appears that while you were in this self-induced stupor, You shedded some of your clothes?
Yes, ma'am.
All of your clothes?
I was naked from the waist down.
And you proceeded to go into somebody else's apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
Shh. So far, we following each other?
Right, which?
The other person whose apartment you went into wasn't home at the time, but came home later? You don't know?
I don't know that.
But that's what it appears. Came home and found you butt naked in his apartment, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And there was some major scuffle because we're not exactly playing Goldilocks and the Three Bears here. So they roughed you up a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
And the police were called.
I do have pictures of what was happened to me.
Oh, I'd like to see them.
And I also have pictures of the vehicle.
Shh, don't tell me vehicle. I'm not at the vehicle yet, which forms the basis of this complaint, sir.
Damn.
Okay. So when these folks came home and found you doing what you were doing in their apartment, but naked, they beat you up.
Yes,
Police were called, and you were taken to jail
yes, ma'am.
at that point for breaking and entering into their apartment.
Yes.
Okay. So far, so good.
Yes, ma'am.
The thrust of your lawsuit against the defendant is, after the police came and hauled your hopefully then clothed body to the precinct, she had your car towed.
Yes, ma'am.
And it cost you $165 to get your car out of the impound.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you're suing her for.
Yes.
I told you you'd love it. I want you to give me the theory of your case, sir.
Your Honor, the way I'm seeing it is the fact that there was damage done to my vehicle, having it towed. I did screw up. I'm not going to deny that. When I was found in the apartment, I was completely unconscious. And from what the police were told, I was being restrained until they got there. And if you look at those pictures, you can see that's not how you restrain an unconscious person.
I don't know if you were unconscious or not, sir. You're shaking your head. Were you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you the owner of that premises?
I was the owner of the apartment he went into.
Why don't you step up, sir? What is your name?
Richard Holler.
Mr. Holler, what time had you arrived home that morning?
I arrived home, probably around 12:30, I think it was.
When you went to open your door, had it been jiggled, or was there some evidence
No,
of
my
breaking?
door was left open a little ways. I was at a friend's house helping him out, and I was on the way home, and I had received a phone call from my daughter, Jamie.
Did she
I
go
got-
to the apartment first?
All three of my daughters were in the apartment, yes.
Step up, Jamie. Tell me what happened, Jamie.
I was inside my bedroom, and me and my sisters were talking, and I heard the door open and shut.
The front
So-
door to
yeah.
the apartment.
And I went to go see if my dad came in, and then I saw him in the living room,
This person.
and he then took off his pants, and
He took off his pants in your apartment?
yeah.
He was standing up.
Yes, ma'am.
Did he say anything?
No.
Were you frightened?
I was scared at the time.
Had you ever seen him before, Jamie?
No, ma'am.
So you see a stranger coming into your apartment early in the morning? At what time did he come into the apartment?
Around 11 o'clock.
Walk into your apartment, take a look at you, and then drop his pants. Is that what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened next?
Then I turned around and got my sisters to jump out of the window, and we went to a neighbor's house, and then I called my dad.
From the neighbor's house?
Yeah.
And you stayed there?
Yes.
When you jumped out of the window, do you live on the first floor, I hope?
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody was hurt.
No, ma'am.
Sit down, Jamie. Okay, so tell me what happened when you came home, sir.
So she called me when she got to the neighbor's house and told me that a guy had came into our apartment and started disrobing. And I asked her where she was at, and she told me right away that her and her sisters were okay, that they were at the neighbor's house. So I got home and I went into the apartment complex, and I seen that my door was open a little ways. And I opened it up a little bit, and from opening it up, you can kind of see our couch. I could see somebody on our couch. So I shut the door and walked down to the caretaker lad's house and asked him to call the police. And I went back to the apartment and went back in and confronted him.
What did you say to him?
He was laying on our couch completely naked except for a t-shirt. Basically told him to get up, and he sat up and asked him to get out, and then there was a little bit of a scuffle, and I basically detained him in the hallway until the cops got there.
Now, when you say you detained him in the hallway, how did he get to the hallway?
Walked. I mean, well, kind of wrestled around a little bit to the hallway.
But he was on his own feet?
Yes, he was.
Okay, and the police arrived.
Yes, they did, ma'am.
What were you charged with, sir?
I was charged with disorderly conduct.
You're pretty lucky.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. William Rytan says his car was impounded while visiting his ex-girlfriend's apartment. The apartment manager, Nancy Wood, says a drunken William walked into another tenant's apartment.
Okay, Miss Wood, what was he charged with? Miss Wood?
Originally, he was charged with fourth-degree burglary and indecent exposure.
And he pled guilty to something. What did you plead guilty to?
Actually, before I even had to plead guilty, there was a second amendment, I believe it was. My mother has been around for this whole thing, and she's also witnessed me get myself into a treatment program the following day.
I didn't ask you that question, sir. I asked you, what did you ultimately plead guilty to?
I plead guilty to disorderly conduct.
Right, but that's not what you were charged with.
That's not what the ticket was wrote for. I never pleaded guilty to anything until they gave me disorderly conduct.
So you waited until you got an appropriate plea bargain. Breaking into somebody's apartment and taking your clothes off is exactly what you were charged with, initially. Okay, Miss Wood, were you advised by the caretaker that he had been taken to jail?
That afternoon, I was coming back to work from lunch, and I noticed a squad car sitting in the parking lot with a man in the back seat. The caretaker, Lad Harite, had approached me and said there was a problem while I was gone, and basically told me that the plaintiff here had gone into another apartment and exposed himself.
So you had his car towed?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. That's what I would have done, right?
That sounds right to me.
Sounds right to me, too. You didn't get a bill from this family for cleaning their sofa, did you?
No, ma'am.
It's the first thing I would have done. Had my sofa professionally cleaned and sent you the bill. I mean, don't you feel foolish?
Honestly, I do feel foolish for my actions.
Yeah, of course.
But like I said, I did take quite the beating, and there's no way I walked anywhere. The police couldn't even pick me up and get me to walk on my own. I was literally dragged outside.
Let me explain something to you, sir. If my husband ever came home and our young daughters were in an apartment where some guy had broken in, stripped down naked, and came home and found this naked, what in his mind is a pervert, who forced his daughters to jump out of a window because they don't know what you're going to do, this would have looked like a Picasso. I wouldn't complain if I were you. You're still here. Now, even Officer Byrd is a very caring, conservative kind of guy. But he has little children. And I wouldn't even ask him what he would do if he found some guy had come into his home when he wasn't there and frightened his children as a result of self-induced intoxication by disrobing, something that his children would never forget. You wouldn't like to venture what you might do to that person.
Oh, he don't want to know.
So I would suggest that you take this, sir, as a really good lesson. And don't sue anybody. You're just lucky they didn't sue you for emotional distress caused to those young girls when they walked out into their living room and found you standing there and you took a look at them and dropped your pants. You're lucky they didn't sue you. That would be the case that I would like to have.
Yet,
What?
He's not paying for the counselor bills either for it.
That would be an interesting lawsuit, sir. But this one is a no-brainer. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I honestly did learn from my actions and have been getting treatment for my alcohol problem.
I was frightened when I first saw him.
Very proud of his actions now, and he has entered a full-bore treatment program, and he's doing well.
I'm proud of Jamie for what she did and got her sisters out of there as soon as possible.
I screwed up and got to pay the consequence from it.
Be responsible for your actions.
And 97-year-old homemaker Michelle Kelly is suing her ex-boyfriend, 26-year-old construction worker Jason Watwood, For an unpaid loan and for an assault, Michelle claims Jason knocked out her tooth.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 104 on the calendar in the matter of Kelly versus Watwood. As I've been sworn in, Judge, you may be seated.
Thanks,
Young
Bert.
man, have a seat. You're welcome, Judge.
Miss Kelly, the defendant was a former boyfriend of yours. According to your complaint, he owes you for two things: a loan that you made to him while you were dating in the amount of $1,200 to fix his truck, and then is your claim that he assaulted you sometime afterwards, causing you to lose a front tooth. You wanted to pay for the dental work. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When were you dating the defendant? What month and year?
Jason and I met in like the end of February of last year.
When did he move in with you?
About 3 months after we met.
And when was this loan made?
It was in December.
Tell me the circumstances of the loan.
Jason bought a '69 Chevrolet pickup truck. At that point, we broke up, and we got back together, and he had the truck for like a month, and the truck broke down on him.
When you say you broke up, did he move out of your house?
Yes, ma'am. He moved
Well,
out.
when did he move out? Moved in May of 2000.
Right, and we lived together about 6 months. And then he moved out, which Jason was always coming and going and living with me, between me and his mother. And so during this time that he buys his truck, we're getting back together, and he's starting a new job, and the truck breaks down on him. I'm having to take Jason back and forth to work. Well, during this time, he puts the truck in the shop, and he was asking me if I would loan him the money and that he would pay me back.
And he was not living with you at the time?
Yeah, in December, yes, ma'am, he was living
He
with me.
was?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, there came a time when you claimed he assaulted you. When was that?
That was in the end of December, 1st of January. Jason and I started talking about him not paying me back any of the money. And he had been drinking, and he became very violent and was very upset with me, and said that he had been giving me, money for living in the house, which I'm not denying the fact that Jason would give me $100, $150 every paycheck, but it did not consist of anything concerning the amount of money that I loaned him for the truck.
Okay, so what happened?
Well, like I said, he was, very upset with me. He had been drinking. He threw me down in the kitchen floor, and I have hardwood floors through my downstairs, and I hit my mouth, which my son is here as a witness of that. And once I broke away from that situation with Jason, I ran into the living room. That's when my son appeared in the living room. He also was on Jason, trying to help me get Jason off of me. And when I finally was away from him, of course, my mouth was bleeding, and I go to the restroom, and my tooth had been knocked out.
Can I see the bill from the dentist for that?
Yes, ma'am. I also have a letter from the dentist.
Did you file a police report?
No, ma'am, I did not. I'd had Jason arrested before for assault, and went to court and helped him get out of that like a fool, but I did.
When was that?
That was back in probably August.
And then you took him back into your house?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, I'll hear you.
Your Honor, I didn't voluntarily move in with Michelle. She had asked me several times to move in with her. I stayed with her a good bit, but I didn't want to move in with her because I wasn't making a whole lot of money. I was working construction, making cash money. While I was at work, Miss Kelly went to where I was living, and she got my clothes and brought them to her house. That's how the moving in arrangement. She wanted me to move in. I said, look, you've got a payments that I can't support you with, which that's fine. I make plenty of money, so don't worry about that. So, no, I can't do that. Well, she went and got my clothes anyway.
So why don't you go get your clothes back?
Well, I thought if she wants me to move in this bad with her, then I mean,
Jason, that is
why not?
lie.
Don't speak to him. No, I'm just asking you. You're a big guy. You work construction. You work off the books. You get paid in cash. You sound like a pretty smart guy. So if somebody takes your clothes and moves them into the house and you don't want to go, you say, gee, I like you very much. I'm going to move my clothes back.
Yes, ma'am. I agree. I should have done that.
Well, you didn't. So, and how long did you live there under duress?
From about April to about beginning of January.
So that's a long time that you were living there in slavery.
I'm not complaining.
You're not complaining. So you lived there.
Yes, ma'am.
And what? And how much money did you give her while you were living?
I would give her. My check was usually somewhere between $300 and $500. I'd give her all my money except for about $50. Well, the situation was, if I got paid by check, I could not give her the check to deposit in her bank account because she lives off of her dead husband. If she makes more than $7,000 or $9,000, I forget which one it is, a year, then she gets penalized on that money. So she want me to cash my check and just give her the money, and I would keep $40 or $50 for me spending money for that week, and she'd make sure that I had whatever I needed at home, which was fine.
Okay, good. So,
as far as the tooth.
no, don't go to the tooth yet. I'm still with the truck.
Okay. Now the truck, I took it to I actually had Lake City Auto come and get it. I would go down to pay it, and Michelle would not want me just to give them cash money, because if they said we didn't pay any money on it, if she just wrote a check, me give her the cash, then we'd be able to trace it and show me, look, we paid with a check. We'd be able to trace it, which at the time seemed like the right thing to do.
So how much money were you giving her every month?
At a minimum, $200 per week, a minimum of $800 per month.
And you considered the money that she wrote for the fixing of your truck money that you had, in fact, contributed to the household?
No, ma'am.
You gave her additional money.
I would give her all my money, just to where she would have money. I mean, I was the one that would give the lunch money in the mornings. I would take the kids to school. She's been to court probably several times for the kids being tardy from school, from absences. And if I hadn't taken them several times, she'd have been right back there again.
That is not true, Your Honor. Jason did give me $80 towards the loan.
When?
He did do that. In February.
Is that right?
Like the first week of February.
I gave her $80, but it wasn't for the loan. I was going to give her $100 to help her out. And she was griping because all I was giving her was $100, and she started mouthing off. And so I pulled a 20 off of the stack of 20s. I said, you're down to 80. And so she hushed, and I gave her the money. And then, of course, when she got the money, she said her piece again and left.
So you paid her $80 back?
No, just to help her out, not as a loan. I give her money throughout the time that we was dating, and more so than my part of the bills. I mean, she'd have $600 phone bills and would get mad at me.
All yours,
and I would sit there and I would line them
Pond.
up. I said, well, let's calculate these and see how much mine are. So 1 month mine come to $24. The next month mine come to $26. So why would I owe
And
her
he
more
never
than that?
paid.
Tell me about this incident, sir, where she says that you threw her down on the floor.
She didn't like my hours at my new job. I'd get home about 9:30 or 10 at night. Well, she couldn't stay home. She had to go out. She had to go out drinking. Well, I get home, and the kids would be a little worried. Like, well, is Mom coming home? Are you going to meet her? So no, I'm just going to hang right here. And then asked me to call her, so I'd call her. Well, she need to come home. Well, I'll come home when I want to. You're at work all day. I'm, entitled to go out and have a good time. Well, she come home, and then the night that she had come home, and that we'd actually got into, I was just trying to keep her from hitting me and kneeing me. And I would grab her or hold her to keep her from doing that. The reason why she was so mad was because one phone bill that we had, she couldn't find one of the pages. It just mysteriously disappeared. Well, I called the phone company and asked them to send me a copy of the bills. Okay, I asked her again, where's this page from the phone bill? Well, I don't know. I showed her the copy. It was the page that was missing, which was a page full of calls to her ex-boyfriend. And, of course, that's when she went off. She was about half-tight, and it made her mad, so she went off.
What time did this happen, sir?
This was probably around midnight.
Around midnight.
Between 11 and 12, I would say.
Can I speak, Your Honor?
Just a second. With the children, shh. Is that when she came home?
She came home around, I'd say around 11. And,
She came home at around 11.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Step up next to your mom. I just have a couple of questions for you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Kelly says ex-boyfriend Jason Watwood owes for an unpaid loan and for knocking out her tooth.
Tell me your name.
Corey.
Corey, do you remember when your mom and Mr. Watwood had an argument?
Yes, ma'am.
What time of the day was it?
It was about 1 o'clock
1 o'clock when?
in the morning.
Had you been sleeping?
Yes.
Do you remember what time you went to sleep?
About 9 o'clock because it was a school night.
Was your mom home when you went to sleep?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know whether your mom went out again that evening?
No, ma'am.
You don't know.
No, ma'am.
Was Mr. Watwood at home when you went to sleep?
No, ma'am.
What time did you get home that evening, sir?
About 9:30.
When you got home, was the plaintiff at home?
Jesse and Corey was at home.
I asked you if the plaintiff was at home when you
No.
got home at 9:30.
No, ma'am.
The children were sleeping?
No, they were still awake.
Do you remember your mom going out?
No, ma'am.
You don't remember, or she didn't go out?
Well, I really don't know if she went out, but when me and my sister go to bed, she doesn't really ever go out.
What happened to wake you up at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Well, I was sleeping, and I heard a big noise, and downstairs, and I went and told my sister, and she just fell back asleep because she didn't hear anything. And I went downstairs, and I saw him hitting my mom. Well, not hitting her, but he had her down on the ground, and he wouldn't let her up.
In what room was that?
It was in the kitchen.
And what was your mom wearing?
She was wearing, I can't remember.
What was the defendant wearing?
He was wearing a white shirt and I think a pair of blue jean shorts.
And you don't remember what your mom was wearing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, sit down.
Your Honor?
What?
No, I'd just like to say that this is what Miss Kelly does for a living. She sues people for a living. And I've been at her home several times when she's prepped the kids as to what to say, what to do.
What kind of lawsuit, sir?
Corey got hit by a car a few years back, and the lawsuit went on and on and on. Instead of settling for, I think it was $70,000, she got greedy and wouldn't settle, so she ended up losing the lawsuit. And she's in lawsuits right now from her house, and she's suing four different people. And she's even told me that, you know, they've offered her $100,000 a piece, but she won't take it. She's going for $1 million a piece. That's what she does for a living.
I don't know if she does that for a living, so she has to do something else for a living. What kind of work do you do?
Actually, I'm a widow, and I'm a housekeeper. I take care of my children.
How much money do you get from Social Security?
$944.
A month?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any other source of income?
Yes, ma'am. I have my child support.
From?
My children's father.
I thought you said you were a widow.
I am. My second husband was killed in a car wreck.
What's the amount of your child support?
Right now, it's $800 a month.
Okay. Now, are you telling me, Miss Kelly, that you had not been out that evening?
No, ma'am, I didn't. I would go pick him up. He worked 6 nights a week. His truck was in the shop. I took him to work every single morning and picked him up every single night.
When did the truck come out of the shop?
And the truck was in the shop for over a month.
When did it come out of the shop?
At the end of December, 1st of January.
Well, then the truck wasn't in the shop at the time you say he assaulted you because
No,
you'd
ma'am,
already
it
given the
wasn't.
money.
Yes, ma'am, it was afterwards.
So then what were you taking him to work for?
Because when he got the truck back, it broke down again, and he has yet to even taken it back to see if anything that I had paid for that truck being fixed, he has not even taken it back to see if that was it. He's driving his father's Cavalier once again, and the truck's still sitting on the side of the road.
I just had to take it in one day. They put a new distributor cap on it. It was fine. It was January 10th when I got my truck out. Unless I'm mistaken, Tuesday through Saturday is 5 nights a week that I work, not 6.
And after that, the truck was not back in the shop?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Watwood, the only question that I have for you, I'm not satisfied that there was a loan for this truck.
Okay.
The only thing that I have to ask you is I want you to describe the incident that took place in the kitchen for me.
Michelle come in for being out. I was already there. When she come in, I said, Michelle, did you ever find the other page to the phone records? No, she never had found them. I said, well, just so happens I got a copy made. Here's the page that was missing. And that's when she went off, got mad. She was, like I said, she was about half tight. She had way too much to drink. She's the one that, when she loses her temper, she goes off. All I did, Your Honor, was just, when she was trying to hit me, I would hold her arms to keep from hitting me, and I would turn to the side to keep her from kneeing me. And she was kicking and swinging so wildly that she fell when I was holding her arms because her feet just from trying to kick me.
Does the incident with the page from the phone bill sound familiar to you?
No, ma'am. I don't have a clue what he's talking about. He had
don't?
a $600
well,
phone bill
the only
every
thing
month,
that I
and he
ask
never
you,
paid
the
it
reason I
either.
ask you that, Miss Kelly, is in your complaint, you say that this fight took place in mid-December, not in January, because in this complaint you say, around the holiday times, I begged him to pay me back because I needed extra cash for presents. Did you forget that you wrote that?
No, ma'am. Actually, I didn't write that.
Let me see if you signed it. That is your signature.
Yes,
because it's the same as here, and you signed it, you swore to it, and you said, around the holidays, I begged him to pay me back because I needed extra cash for presents.
Right.
That's what you signed.
Right.
Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And I'm just glad that, Judge, you can see through her.
He's a loser, and I know what he is. And that's the bottom line.
It's completely bogus. No truth to it.
Parties, and there were complaints on at least 4 occasions, and ultimately they were either going to terminate her proprietary lease on the condo unless she got rid of your daughter, but you moved out. Yes. Your father gave her an extra month's rent and said goodbye. Unfortunately, because of your actions, Miss Irani was charged money for violating the noise ordinances of the condo. She tried to fight them. Your tenancy ended up costing her how much?
Okay, I paid $942.50 for my attorney, and then there is a paper for all the details of all the charges, which
I'd like
is
to see it.
$4,921.
Okay. Miss Irani had to pay as a result of dog fines, police being called to the house for loud noises and parties, because you, Mr. Ottenstreier, had full confidence in your daughter's ability to live on her own, act responsibly, and you were wrong. Your defense is, that wasn't in my contract.
Correct.
Convince me better, sir.
Well, in the contract itself, there is no statement of the $400 fine for police calls. There is a part that says about noise, that type of thing. That's not specified in there.
What does it say about noise, that you're not allowed to make noise?
Well, it says be quiet in the hall and this type of thing, keep your stereos down. And then it says see attachment. There's no attachment.
Did you ask about the attachment?
No.
What do you do for a living?
Optometrist.
Do you have your own business?
Yes.
Do you rent space or do you own the building where you have your...
Now we rent.
When you signed a lease, did you have a lawyer?
Yes.
So you do know about lawyers.
Yes.
And if something says see attachment and there's no attachment, what do you do?
Well, to me, it's void. I mean, if it's not in there.
I didn't ask you what it means.
Oh.
I said, what do you do when it says see attached? You say, where is the attachment?
I looked for attachment, didn't see it.
So why didn't you call her?
I assumed that she wasn't concerned about it, I guess. She
I'm
didn't put it in the
concerned
contract.
about it.
Yeah.
What's next, Mr. Rottenstryer?
Well, the next thing is that we renewed the lease. At the renewal of the lease, she never said anything about us owing money, and there were 3 police calls before that.
When did you renew the lease?
On 6/20/06, a year after, and there were 3 police calls before that.
Let me ask you a question. Had you been contacted about those 3 police calls?
I still never received a bill.
Did your daughter tell you that there were 3 police calls?
She called me each time after the police were called.
That's not my question. I said, did your daughter tell you about the 3 police calls?
Yes.
What did she tell you?
Told me that she had a party and that there were police calls. The police were called and they ticketed her.
What did you say to her?
Don't have any more parties. Quit having the parties.
Just a second. Did you say to her after the first time, don't have any more parties?
Sure.
Did you say it to her after the second time?
Sure.
Did you say it to her after the third time?
Yes.
And when you renewed the lease, did you co-sign the lease despite the fact that she had disobeyed your instructions?
Yes.
Now it would seem to me, Mr. Ottenstryer, that you would not be as trusting and as confident in your daughter to do the right thing. So why would you co-sign the lease for her?
Well, there have been 6 months went by with no police calls, and you hope your child is going to take the right road. They make mistakes, but you keep hoping they're going to make the right choice.
And what about the dog, sir?
The dog was there temporarily. It was a friend's dog that stayed there. She didn't have it as a pet.
The dog was there about 3 weeks, not even.
Temporarily is not 3 weeks. Temporarily is when somebody comes over to visit you and they bring their dog. Why should she be out all this money? If I have to make a judgment as to who's got to be out this $5,000, who do you think it's going to be? The person who made the noise or the person who had to pay the fines?
Well, we do have papers that say that she's responsible for, well...
For any fines that are charged to the tenants that she's responsible for.
Of course, as between she and the condo association, she's responsible.
So that's
I'm speaking. The condo association doesn't want to have to go looking for you. I mean, I can't believe that you actually are a professional man. The condo says, as between you, owner, and the board, you, owner, are responsible for the fines. That doesn't prevent her from going after you because you're the one that made the noise. You're the one that brought the dogs in, something that you knew. You knew it when you signed the lease the second time. You knew she had violated the rules. Could have said to her at that time, listen, you violated my trust. You come home. Come home. I'm not co-signing for you. You didn't listen to me the first time. You didn't listen to me the second time. Unless you didn't want her home, sir, because she created too much trouble at home, which is another problem.
Doesn't Judy, when she renewed taking responsibility, should have told us at that time that there were fines at that point?
They probably didn't come after her for those fines until after she left.
Yes, they did.
Before she renewed the lease?
Yes.
When did you renew the lease, sir?
6/20/06.
Actually, it's July 2007.
And when were you first notified of any fine? Because clearly, if you were notified of fines before you renewed the lease, I am not considering any fines before you renewed the lease. Afterwards, maybe. But then you're on notice.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your Honor, I have her email, what she told me. She
I don't
said
care
that
what she told
didn't
you.
do
I don't care if she
anything
told you
wrong.
that the sky was green. Listen to me very carefully.
I believed her.
I don't care whether you believed her.
And later today,
This is all getting too unseemly for me. Mr. Lanza, you've had possibly...
Real People, Judge Judy. Gidi Irani claims former tenant Holly Ottenstryer threw wild parties in her rental condo. She is suing for association fines and legal fees.
Okay, now when were you notified of the fines?
Actually, after she had the police call, they sent me a letter and I discussed it with her. I said, there is fine, you cannot go on living like this.
When did you have this conversation with her? Before?
After the first call, after the first police call.
Well, the first police call was in 2005.
Yes.
When were you notified by the condo association of the fines, is my question.
Maybe in a month or so.
Month after 2005?
Yes.
Well, then you should not have renewed her lease.
Your Honor, she was telling me that the neighbors are bothering her. The property manager who was telling me that she had loud noise, he was fired,
Mr.
and I
Rani,
did not have the police reports. As soon as I had the police report, I talked to her father.
Mr. Rani, how much were you renting the apartment to her for?
$550 and then $640 later on because she asked for the carpet to be changed.
All of these things were done prior to you executing a new lease. You said July of 2006 is when you entered into a new lease. And there was nothing after that.
Because she was out in September.
No, listen to me very carefully. You have a police call August of 05, another one August of 05. There are dog fines in October of 05. There's another dog fine in November of 05. I don't know what this means, non-eviction. What does that mean?
Because they were asking me to ask her to leave, and she was saying that they are so unfair to her.
Oh, no. That's your problem, Mr. Rani. I'm sorry, I was very heavy on them, and rightly so. But you're a grown-up. You should not have renewed their lease.
Your Honor, I have 2 teenagers that I fully trust. I believed her, and that I did not believe the property manager.
I would have brought eviction proceedings against her immediately. Immediately. They asked you to evict her in October of 2005.
But Your Honor,
and instead of evicting her, you renewed a lease in July.
Your Honor, I have her email, what she told me. She
I don't
said
care
that
what she told you. I don't care if she told you that the sky was green. Listen to me very carefully.
I believed her.
I don't care whether you believed her. It's not relevant to me. It's not relevant whether you believed her. You were told by your condo association to evict her in 2005. Instead of evicting her, what you did was you renewed her lease in 2006.
But, Your Honor, they never provided any evidence, anything.
They don't have to provide you with evidence, madam.
I asked for.
They don't have to provide you with evidence. She's not going to pay you because it was your responsibility to evict her, not to sign on a new lease. There are other people that live there. They were forced to live with her, making a lot of noise and having a dog when they weren't supposed to. They asked you to evict her. You're the owner of the condo, and you said, no, I'm not going to do it.
Your Honor, I called her parents and I told her mother about the dog. And she said she's just doing it for 1 weekend and it's going to be gone. She told me that the police came because there was an ambulance. She was not feeling good. She was not doing that.
Listen, they came 5 times. She was a very sick girl. It's your problem, and it's your fault. You should never, never have renewed the lease with them. Never.
Your Honor, I received the police report in August, and I talked to her parents right away after I saw the police report. I made an appointment with them. I saw them, and I said, this is
You
horrible.
should have evicted her, and you didn't. You should have
Because I believed her.
Well, that's your problem, madam. I believe that you believed her. I believe that you also like the rent. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't think that she was lying, but I guess I learned my lesson.
I feel sorry for Judy because she did trust my daughter.
She had underage drinking. She had marijuana in the home.
One of my friends was caught with marijuana in my apartment, and I should have known that he had it, but I didn't.
I trusted her.
One of the tickets was for me and 2 friends that were sitting on the couch talking, and the police gave me a ticket for that.
I'll be more careful with younger people.
They got to go out in the world sometime, and they don't always make the right choices, but you trust them and you hope.
24-year-old Jeffrey Dexter is suing his ex-girlfriend, 24-year-old Helen Garlinghouse, for the return of his stereo and furniture. Helen says Jeffrey won't return her property either.
All right, let's see if we can get a consensus on some facts here. How long did you and the defendant live together, sir?
Me and Miss Garlinghouse lived together approximately 7 years.
How long did you and the plaintiff live together?
We were together for about 6 years, but we lived together off and on. There's times where he moved out for months at a time.
You have 1 child together.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right? How old is that child?
5.
Boy or a girl?
Girl.
Mr. Dexter, it is your complaint that Miss Garlinghouse has some of your property.
Yes,
Miss
ma'am, she
Garlinghouse says you have some of her property. And in addition to having some of her property, you've been harassing her. She's got a counterclaim. The two of you come here after creating this mess and want somebody else to clean it up. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, ma'am.
So let me see if I can do this relatively quickly and painlessly for me mostly.
Jeffrey Dexter says his ex-girlfriend, Helen Darlinghouse, owes for the return of his property. Helen is countersuing for the return of a rifle.
What property does she have that you claim belongs to you?
She has my stereo, which I have a receipt for.
Stereo. And when did you buy the stereo?
2003, I believe. When
When did you and Miss Garlinghouse separate?
In 2005.
When in 2005?
End of April, beginning of May.
So this stereo provided music for the two of you for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Who do you live with?
I have my own residence, and I part-time live with John.
Who's John?
He's my boyfriend.
You have your own residence and you part-time live with John. What part of the time?
Mainly weekends or sometimes through the week.
Why?
I don't like being at my residence that I am right now. I mean, I worry about Jeff driving by my house, people stopping by. He's actually sent 2 different people over to John's house trying to find out if I'm there, if John's there, if John lives there, what John's last name is.
Where
And
is
the
your
manager...
child? Where is your child when you're moving back and forth?
My child's with me.
You should think you ought to start acting responsibly for your 5-year-old?
I do act responsible for my 5-year-old.
Not if you're shuttling her back and forth between your house and his house.
She has a room at each house. She has belongings at each house.
I'm just going to give you a very simple phrase, and that is, if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. You know what that means?
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that they keep me in this job because I'm stupid, right?
No.
Did you buy the stereo?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
How did the stereo come to be left at her house?
During the process of us breaking up, I moved my clothes and his personal belongings, took with me at the time. I come back to retrieve my other stuff, and she had called the cops on me stating I was trying to beat her windows in. I was trying to beat her windows in. My cousin was there. He wasn't able to appear today. I went to get my stuff. She would not let me have access to the house.
Now I got it. Don't say anything.
Okay.
Stereo, what else?
The couch.
Couch. When did you buy the couch?
Shh,
I don't want to hear you. You see I gave you a chance to talk and he was quiet? Button up.
2005, like January, February.
What else?
There's miscellaneous CDs. I have several items.
Listen to me. I'm not interested in your miscellaneous items.
Okay.
You have a 7-year relationship and a 5-year-old child. Don't bother me with Apple Coras and CDs. I'm not interested in that. Stereo and a sofa that you say you bought in 2005.
Yes, ma'am.
And what items do you say he has of yours?
He has my .30-06 rifle that he had given me for Christmas.
Just a minute. He has a rifle?
Mm-hmm. It's a hunting rifle.
Did you give her a rifle for Christmas?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Yes, he did. I wish I had the videotape. I don't have the videotape on me.
A rifle? What else?
My luggage that he had bought me, he took out of the garage the day he came and got his car.
Luggage. What else?
And my ball hitch that when he came and got his car, he wasn't able to move his car. And
A ball hitch?
It's a ball hitch.
You know what that is?
Yes, Your Honor. It plugs into the tow package on the back of a Blazer.
Who has the Blazer?
I do.
She has it.
Who has the ball hitch?
I have it.
Okay. What else?
And then that's all I have except for the harassment.
You're not going to harass her anymore, are you, sir?
I have not been harassing her.
If you are or have been harassing her, you're not going to harass her anymore.
No, ma'am.
All
Your
right,
Honor, he's broken
first
restraint.
I'm speaking. First you get the lecture, then I'll deal with the property. Your 5-year-old daughter doesn't need this aggravation, needs for you to behave like adults. I assume that when you had this child, you didn't bring her into the world to make her miserable. What you're doing is making her miserable. You have to start acting responsibly. Your child needs a home, not 2 homes. Not unless you're taking her to the French Riviera for the spring and Palm Beach for the winter. Do you understand? If you're taking her across town to live part-time with John, that's unreasonable. Child needs a home, not 3 homes, 1, 2, 3. Do you understand? So, grow up. And a child doesn't need to have a stressed parent, which means if you're stressing her, cut it out. You made a mistake, put a period, and move on. I'm going to prepare an order. Listen very carefully. You want your luggage and ball hitch back?
Yes, ma'am.
You want your stereo and couch back?
Yes, ma'am.
You can make an exchange 5 days from today 5.
She
and
didn't
if that,
pay-
I'm
he didn't-
speaking. Listen to me very carefully. Grow up. Stereo, sofa, luggage, ball hitch. They either get exchanged at the same time or they don't get exchanged. Then just say, I'm going to buy a new stereo, a new sofa, I'm going to buy new luggage and a ball hitch. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Grow up. Goodbye.
Jennifer Spurgeon is suing her son, 25-year-old Ozzie, when he was arrested for writing fraudulent checks.
Miss Spurgeon, you are willing to acknowledge here in court that this is your child.
Yes, my son.
According to your complaint, he owes you for bailing him out of jail.
Yes, he does.
He says he never asked you. You bailed him out on your own. What were you in jail for, sir?
I forged some checks in 02.
For forgery.
Yes, ma'am.
And the forgery was in 2002?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you incarcerated?
New Year's Eve 05.
Is that because that's when you were arrested or because you violated your parole or probation?
That's when I got arrested.
For the forgery in 2002?
Yes, ma'am.
It took him 3 years to figure it out?
It took them 3 years to catch me, ma'am. I did because I didn't do anything else wrong.
Is that the only time you've been arrested?
No, ma'am.
Between 2002 and 2005, how many times were you arrested?
0.
Before 2002?
Couple, 2 or 3.
For what?
Me and a couple of my friends stole a racing four-wheeler.
Stole a what?
A four-wheeler, a racing four-wheeler when I was 17.
How old are you now?
25.
Oh, that's a long time ago. What else?
Possession of marijuana.
When was that?
I was 19.
Anything else?
Possession again.
Don't learn your lesson.
No, ma'am.
Now, is that forgery case resolved at this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it resolved after a trial or a plea?
After a plea.
What did you plead guilty to and when?
I pled guilty to forgery. I'm not sure. It was like the last case was just resolved 2 months ago.
Which last case?
Well, there was 3 counties the checks were in. It was 3 different counties.
Where'd you get the checks from?
A friend of mine.
Whose checks were they?
His checks.
You stole the checks from him or he gave them to you?
He gave them to me.
To do what with?
To get money.
What were you using the money for?
All kinds of different things.
So it took whatever county was 3 years to figure out what was going on. So you were arrested December 31st, 2005.
Yes, ma'am.
What was your bail?
In the beginning, it was $89,000.
Was your friend arrested too?
I don't have any idea.
Why was your bail so high?
Because of the amount of checks that there was.
How much?
I don't remember.
Give me a ballpark figure.
$1,500.
How long did you spend in jail?
46 days.
Was that the first time you had been incarcerated?
For 46 days, yes, ma'am.
More than a day or two?
No. It was the second time.
How long was the previous time you were incarcerated for a substantial period?
A couple days, no.
A couple of days?
Yes, ma'am.
So this was 46 days?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you like it?
No, wasn't fun at all.
How many times did you speak to your mother? Did you call her?
Oh, yeah.
You call her every week?
Every couple days.
What'd you talk about?
Everything. How I was doing, how I was feeling. Was I learning anything? Was I going to do it again? My daughter.
You have a child?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do for a living now, Mr. Stephan?
I run a concrete business.
A what?
Custom concrete business.
Custom concrete?
Yeah.
You work all the time?
Most of the time.
You make a living?
Yes, ma'am.
You filed tax returns last year?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. How much did you earn?
I don't remember.
Ballpark.
$35,000.
Nice. And you only have one child?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
I live with my father.
Still working the same business that you did last year when you were
No, ma'am.
making $35,000?
No, ma'am.
So you left a good business and you went into the custom concrete business?
Yes, ma'am.
So you must make more money?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Love it. Now, is one of the things you spoke to about your mother how unhappy you were in prison?
In jail? Yeah, of course.
Did you discuss with her bailing you out?
It came up time to time.
How did it come up?
I would ask her if she would bail me out, and she would tell me no.
And?
And?
But look where you are. You're here. 46 days later, you're here. So how did it come about, sir, that you got bailed out?
I finally made it to the last county that I was going to, and I made a phone call to my mom, and she had said...
You made a phone call to your mom at the
She
last
said-
county. Shh. We do everything my way here, because it's my playpen. So you finally got to the last county where you had a arraignment, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the bail in the other counties had been sort of resolved, so you were waiting to get to the last place because they weren't letting go of you until you got to the last place, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So now you got to the last place and you called your mom and you said...
Hi, Mom, what's up?
And she said...
I mean, basically, that's what I called her and said, hey, how you doing? And she told me to call her back in an hour. She was working on something.
And that's all you said to her. Hi, Mom, what's doing?
How's it going? Yeah.
How's it going?
And she.
All right, good. Now he's at the last county. What day is it, Mrs. Spurgeon?
Around the 7th or 8th of February, 06.
And he calls you from the last county that wants him,
Yes.
right? And what does he say to you, and what do you say to him?
He was pretty upset.
What did he say?
Mom, I can't take it anymore. You've got to get me out of here. I've called Grandma. Grandma can't help. She has no money. She's on disability and my father's pension. And
is this your mother?
This is my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I told him that I couldn't get him out. I didn't have any kind of money. All I had was my credit cards.
And he said?
I got a friend that's a bondsman. If you'll call him, he'll cut us a deal.
He said?
Ozzy gave me the name of the bondsman to call.
And did you call?
I did call him, yes.
And did you get a deal?
$1,500 is not a deal when, you know, I didn't get to spend any of it. I had to give it away.
Is that what it cost you to get him out?
Yes, all totaling.
What's your mother's last name?
McMullen.
Would you step up, Miss McMullen? How many grandchildren do you have?
17.
Is he one that you like?
He always calls up and says, "This is your favorite grandson." That's okay.
Yeah, he's got a gift of gab. Did he call you from jail and ask you to bail him out?
Well, he said he needed help getting out, but...
Did he call you?
Yes, he did, several times.
Several times. And he said, I need help getting out?
Mm-hmm. He wanted to get out.
What did you say to him?
I can't help you. I'm on a fixed income, so I can't help you.
And what did he say to you?
I know. I guess he was fishing.
How many times did he call you? Trying to see if he could get some money?
3 or 4 times, yeah.
Remember calling your grandmother?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask her for money?
Oh, yeah.
Remember calling your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask her for money?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Now we got it. Now you can be seated. Okay, thank you very much. See, I knew you might lie about your mother, Mr. Stephan, but I knew you wouldn't lie about your grandmother. You made some payments to your mother on this bail. How many payments did you make on the bail?
I gave her a couple $100.
Just answer my question.
I gave her a couple $100.
200.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what he gave you?
He actually paid it to the bonds company.
How much does he still owe? When you paid off the entire amount?
$1,350.
Okay, so these are my questions, Mr. Stephan. When you forged those checks with your buddy and got some cash, whatever it was, $1,500, did you buy anything for your mother?
No, ma'am.
Did you buy anything for your grandmother?
No, ma'am.
Did you give your mother any money?
No, ma'am.
Did you give your grandmother any money?
No, ma'am.
Did your mother get any enjoyment whatsoever from the proceeds of your forgery?
No.
Did she know or in any way help you forge those checks?
No.
So that when you got busted for check forgery, this was owing solely to your bad behavior, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why should anybody else suffer for your bad behavior?
They shouldn't.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,350. Thank you,
Judge.
26-year-old account manager Lisa Kerr is suing her ex-boyfriend, Private Eye Gary Guthrie, for a loan to buy a spy cell phone. Gary says the spy equipment was a gift.
Ms. Kerr, who is this?
This is my witness, my friend Lindsay.
Mr. Guthrie, who is this?
This is my brother Adam in witness.
This is the situation as I understand it. You and Mr. Guthrie dated briefly. Was it a time he was separated from your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
And for some strange reason, according to you, Mr. Guthrie, who needed some spy equipment, that's your business, you're in security, surveillance, and you agreed to put it on your credit card, this piece of equipment that he saw that he liked. And you did. According to you, he said he was going to pay for it. The piece of equipment came, you and Mr. Guthrie no longer an item. Mr. Guthrie says that spy equipment doesn't work.
Correct.
So he's not paying for it, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
If it worked, were you going to pay for it?
Well,
Well is not an answer, Mr. Guthrie.
Well, I
if it
assumed it
worked,
was
listen to me very carefully, sir. If it worked, were you going to pay for it? Just a second. The questions get harder. What's your first name?
Gary.
Gary? Listen to me, Gary. Try not to play with me, sir, otherwise you're going to look like an idiot. If it worked, were you going to pay for it?
Yes, Your Honor.
That wasn't hard, was it, Gary?
No.
Did you actually think you were going to come here and make a fool out of me?
No.
So it didn't work. And you told the plaintiff it didn't work, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so the company said, send it back to us, and while you're not going to get your money back, you can buy additional merchandise.
Or switch it out for another one that might work if it
Or
came.
switch it out.
Yes, ma'am.
And you understood that, right, Gary?
Yes, Your Honor.
See how mellow Gary is getting now? Gary gets it now. Because in Gary's answer, he thought he was being a wise guy, and he told me first it was a gift from her, that she bought him a gift. And then she changed her mind because she went back to her husband and they got this big bill, and that's why she's probably coming after him. That didn't ring true to me. So that's why I asked Gary if he was intending to pay her back for it if it worked. You understand, Gary? Then you bring along genius with you over here. Because the idea was, according to you, and you agree, that you were told to pack up the old equipment and send it back to the company. And you brought her over the box.
No, I didn't actually bring the box.
How did she get the box?
Through my brother.
He brought her the box.
Yes.
And she paid for sending it back.
That's correct.
Not you. She paid for sending it back. Now, genius, you can stand up.
Lisa Kerr says ex-boyfriend Gary Guthrie owes for a loan to buy a spy phone. Gary claims the phone was broken and he tried to return it.
You got a first name?
Adam.
You didn't pack up the spy equipment, did you, Adam?
I was told...
Is not an answer.
I did pack up the equipment.
You did?
But I grabbed the wrong device, apparently.
What does that mean, genius?
When I gave it to Lisa and she'd shipped it off, they could tell her it was the wrong device. But I did not know because my brother was out of town. It was a phone call that told me to pack up the device.
What did you tell your brother to do?
I told him to grab my cell phone and pack it up to get to her.
Your cell phone? Well, that's not a spy piece of equipment that costs $3,400.
Well, if you've seen my other cell phones, you'd understand that I have a lot of cell phones, and all my cell phones are pretty high-tech.
I somehow think, Adam, that this was a little scammy-whammy that was going on here, kids. You sent back the wrong thing. Did you send back the wrong thing?
Yes, by accident.
Ultimately, you found the device and it had not been sent back, right?
Correct.
When you found the device that had not been sent back, what was the first thing you did?
Well, I told her I obviously must...
So the first thing you did was call her?
I tried to attempt to. I wasn't able to get in touch with her.
So you did call her?
Yes, once I found out it was the wrong device.
Well, then I want to know, what date did you find out it was the wrong device?
Mid-December, somewhere in the middle of December.
And when did you find out that they didn't receive the device?
It was right around December the 18th or 20th.
And when did Mr. Guthrie call you?
I actually never spoke with him about that until I had left to go on Christmas vacation, and I ended up breaking my leg. So I was out of commission for a few months, and I finally got a hold of him again in March.
So between December, when he found out that he did not give you the right piece of equipment, and March, are you telling me he never called you?
Not that I spoke with him, and not a message that I got from him, no.
So he never called?
No, ma'am.
As far as you know, he never called?
Right.
What did you do with the piece of equipment, Gary?
Well, come mid-April, we were fishing, and I was trying to get the device to work, which is the whole issue, how it didn't work. And out of frustration, it actually ended up in the lake.
So, Gary, who do you think ought to pay for this piece of equipment?
Well, my assumption, seeing that she didn't call me back for that period of time...
Didn't call you back? Did you send her a letter?
I didn't send a certified letter, Your Honor, no.
Did you send her back the piece of equipment and say, I'm sorry, my idiot brother made a mistake? The answer is no. The answer is you took the piece of equipment and you threw it in the lake. It's according to you. I don't know whether I believe you or not, but that's according to you. When did you throw it in the lake, Gary?
Let's see, April, mid-April.
So you could have done a lot of things. The first thing that you could have done was try her once on the phone, if I believed that. You couldn't get her in. So you packed the piece of equipment up and say, I'm sorry, this was a big mistake. That's in December. I'm going to bear the burden of sending it back to the company. I don't want you to send it back for another $70 because my brother doesn't know whether he's a foot or horseback, right? You chose not to do that, Gary. Were you annoyed that she went back to her husband? Huh?
No, Your Honor.
Well, then if you weren't annoyed that she went back to her husband, why don't you do the right thing?
Yes, you say lack of communication.
Lack of character is more like it. How much was it?
The original purchase was $3,035. The other items that he chose to replace it came to an additional $223. They wouldn't send me a return authorization.
Just a second, you mean you bought other stuff, Gary? Gary! Did you buy other stuff? You bought another $223 worth of stuff?
I was trying to exchange, yes.
You were trying to exchange it for the wrong piece of equipment that your brother sent back.
Something that actually worked.
Just a second. You bought some other stuff despite the fact that your brother sent back a bad cell phone instead of this piece of spy equipment.
I wasn't aware that he'd done that, you know.
Well, did you send back the other stuff that you purchased for $223?
I never received it.
We never received it because we had to give them the list of the items that we wanted in replace of it. After we gave them that list, they gave us the return authorization. Once they received the phone, they were going to send the items. Well, they never received the phone.
So they never sent the items. Why, then you shouldn't be charged for them.
But I have the email where it says we have to charge your card prior to even giving you the return
Then you have to
authorization
call them and say
form.
you never sent those items. Do you understand? I'm not charging you for those. That you take up with the company. They never sent you the merchandise. They can't charge you.
I have done that. It's a company in Thailand. It's really the only way I can communicate with them is through email.
Well, then I would suggest that you be smarter next time and not deal with a company in Thailand and not deal with Gary
Understood.
and his brother. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,035. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I wasn't really catching any fish that day, and was kind of frustrated.
I got one of my mistakes swept under the carpet.
You get angry, and while you're fishing, you just get rid of things that don't work, you know.
I wasn't there. I have no idea. All I knew was that they received the wrong phone back.
Maybe your husband has seen the item and wasn't too happy.
Honestly, my husband and I decided to work things out, and that was the most important thing.
One of those things like a fish. You got throwbacks and you got keepers, and obviously not a keeper.
Thank you very much for serving justice.
Delivery truck driver Barbara Knapp is suing her ex-boyfriend, steelworker Claude Wheeler, for purposely driving her van into a ditch. Claude claims he swerved to miss a deer.
Ms. Knapp, it is your claim that Mr. Wheeler, who used to be your boyfriend, wrecked your car.
Correct.
And in addition to the damages to the car, you want some money for pain and suffering. I don't know what pain and suffering you want. You'll, I'm sure, explain it to me. Tell me about the day of the incident.
Okay, on December 28th, I do believe, we went grocery shopping, stopped at a bar and had a few drinks and was coming home and...
Okay, what time did you get to the bar?
8 o'clock.
8 p.m.?
8 p.m.
And how long did you stay at the bar?
Oh, possibly an hour maybe. No, not that long, because we had groceries in the car, so about an hour then, say.
Is that right, sir?
Correct.
Okay, you stopped at a bar, groceries in the car, went home, on your way back to the grocery.
On our way back home, and we were discussing just things, and an old boyfriend was brought up because he was apparently came into the bar, and I had made his comment that he's still love of my life, and he didn't like it, so I don't know what was said, but then he swatted me upside the head, in the back of the head, and then I had told him that that was it and it was over, and he proceeded to say, oh, I'll show you that. He drove my car down into the ditch. The next thing you know, a pole's coming, and we were headed straight for the pole, and he turned it just enough to go past the pole, but in the meantime, we kind of got wedged into the ditch and had to go out the windows to get out, and then I was just kind of in shock, I do believe, and
okay.
That was that.
Well, we were driving home that night. I had a few drinks, and we were arguing, and I was looking at her.
Try looking at me.
I don't recall slapping her upside the head or striking her. We were arguing, and I was looking at her, and when I turned my eyes back to the road, there were deer in the road, and I swerved to the right to miss the deer, and as soon as we got to the edge of the road, the snow sucked us into the ditch. I didn't do it intentionally.
Don't remember the deer?
There was no deer. He did it on
Okay.
purpose.
And you issued a report?
Mm-hmm.
You have a copy of that report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
That is the traffic report. Okay.
Shh. You have any other police reports?
No, I went to the trooper's barracks to try to get the actual report from my statement and his statement, but apparently they do not let that out. They don't.
Your Honor, I have a signed statement of her from the night of the accident.
Can
right
I
here.
see it, please? That's what I'm looking for. Well, you did sign a statement on the 28th of December, Ms. Knapp.
Okay.
You didn't say anything about him purposely damaging your car. You say at about 2 or 3 o'clock, my boyfriend was at my house. He had a margarita, which was left over from last night. At about 7 o'clock, we went grocery shopping at Wegmans and then went to Jit's bar for a couple of beers and pool. He had 2 or 3 beers there. Then we started home. Claude was driving. I wasn't paying attention, and all of a sudden we were going towards the ditch. I didn't see if there was a deer, just that he was going towards the ditch. You didn't tell the police that he tried to kill both of you?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I just was still in shock from all of it, and I just didn't. I just was going to go with the story with the deer because I just was in shock because that's what he wanted me to say, and I just didn't.
What happened?
Notice, Penal Law Section 210.45, in a written instrument, any person who knowingly makes a false statement which such person does not believe to be true has committed a crime under the laws of the state of New York and is punishable by a Class A misdemeanor. And that's what you signed.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any reason why you think, Ms. Knapp, that I should believe you now? Ms. Knapp, I have a couple more questions for you. When did you and the defendant separate?
It was, around the 1st of February.
So between December 28th and the 1st of February, you still lived together?
No, we did not live together.
We just dated.
And you dated the same way that you were dated before?
Pretty much.
It wasn't this, not in my eyes, because it was over in my eyes, and I just wanted to get a deductible from him, so I kind of...
Which I did pay. I paid the $500 deductible.
But I figured if I broke up with him, I wouldn't have seen any money or nothing, so I kind of just had to hang in there to get my deductible. And
then a month and a half later, 2 months down the road, she's after for this $5,000.
That's not going to happen.
Thank you.
Ms. Knapp, if someone tried to kill me with a car, I wouldn't get into bed with them for a deductible or anything else. And if you did, that's your problem. Bye. Case dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was jealous over an old boyfriend from 15 years ago, and he just didn't want to hear that I wanted to break up with him, and he's going to just show me. And
I didn't intentionally wreck her van or try to kill either one of us.
I still owe a balance on the van, but it beats having to be with him anymore.
Guess it wasn't true love.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Marquez versus Welfare, step forward, please.
23-year-old Joe Marquez is suing his ex-girlfriend, 22-year-old student Jamie Welfare, for selling his washer and dryer. Jamie claims the appliances were a Mother's Day gift from Joe.
How old are you, Mr. Marquez?
I'm 23. I'll be 24 in a couple days.
Before you moved in with Miss Welfare and her 2 children, where were you living?
I was living with my parents.
And when did you move in with Miss Welfare?
I moved in with her in mid-October of 2003.
And how long did you live there?
I lived there until the beginning of April.
And where were you working during that time?
The whole time I was working at Denny's restaurant.
Part-time?
Part-time, yes. I also coached football at the local elementary school.
What was your financial arrangement when you were living with Miss Welfare?
We paid half. I paid $300, she paid $300.
For rent?
For rent, correct.
Is that right?
That's correct.
What about the rest of the expenses?
We usually split those down the middle as well.
And what were you doing, Miss Welfare?
I also had 2 jobs. I was working at 2 separate restaurants.
Okay. This is what the complaint is about. The complaint says that while you were living there, you purchased a washer and dryer. When you moved out in April of 2004, you told Miss Welfare that she could keep them for a while because you had no place to take them because you were moving back with your parents. A year later, you finally get your own place. You let her know you want your washer and dryer back, and she says, forget it.
Actually, I did have a place to put them. I have a receipt for my storage space, which I purchased in April 17th of 2004 as well, which was actually 5 days after I moved everything out of the apartment.
All right, so you didn't want to put it in your storage space because...
Well, she has 2 children, and we've been to the laundromat together, and it takes quite a long time to do laundry. And since my parents already had a washer and dryer, I had no need for them at that time. And I had just purchased them in March of that year, which had only been about a month. So I figured I might as well get some use out of them by leaving them at her apartment.
That's somewhat correct, but not completely correct.
23-year-old Joe Marquez is suing his ex-girlfriend, 22-year-old student Jamie Welfare, for selling his washer and dryer. Jamie claims the appliances were a Mother's Day gift from Joe.
Well, let me hear what your version of the events were.
When he bought those for me, it was an early Mother's Day gift. I was the one doing all the laundry. He never even did his own laundry. I was doing my laundry, his laundry, and both of my children's laundry. And between the two jobs and being at the laundromat all the time, it was a lot of time away. And so we had been discussing, you know, him buying a washer and dryer for me, and he was looking online and said, hey, come and pick the one you want. And so I picked the one I want. He gave them to me. When he moved out, I was sleeping when he moved out. You know, our relationship had gotten kind of rocky. There was never any discussion about me giving them back, ever.
When, for the first time, did you contact her with regard to retrieving these two items?
Your Honor, as she said, I moved out at the very beginning of April of 2004. We didn't talk for 2 weeks afterwards. After that, we, began phone conversations, and actually on May 5th of 2004, she came over to my house, my parents' house, for a little Cinco de Mayo get-together. In May of 2004, I gave Miss Welfare $100 because she was having a rough time making it on her own in the apartment, and I have here a check for utilities/other stuff I gave to Miss Welfare for $100 to help her out.
Could you answer my question?
Sure.
You remember what my question was?
Yes, I do. Have we ever talked about it? About the washer and dryer?
When, for the first time, did you ask for it back?
I first asked for it back when I found out I was moving out with my current girlfriend, which was in March of 2005.
Okay, so between April of 2004 and March 2005, you had absolutely no discussion with her about this washer and dryer.
That is incorrect. When I gave her that check, which was dated May 20th of 2004, we had discussed it. She actually wanted to purchase the washer and dryer fully. She wanted to give me payments per month. And I told her that since we were becoming good friends, I did not want the only conversation to be between us about the washer and dryer.
At that time, Mr. Marquez, did you believe that the friendship would rekindle into a relationship?
No. Actually, when we first broke up,
Mr. Marquez, don't insult my intelligence.
Sorry, Your Honor.
You don't go from being lovers to friends without somebody hoping for a little bit more.
That is correct. Yes.
So during that time, and during the time, according to you, she said, why don't you let me make payments on it? You said, no.
Correct.
And now you have a new girlfriend.
Yes, I do.
You moving into an apartment together?
We have currently moved into an apartment as of the 9th of April.
And I assume it doesn't have a washer and dryer.
Actually, it does. After this little skirmish between me and my ex-girlfriend, my current girlfriend went out and purchased one, hoping it would make me feel a little bit better.
Did it?
I was very, very pleased that she would show that much friendship towards me. But I wasn't very angry about the washer and dryer. I was angry at the fact that she took me for granted that I was being nice and letting her borrow the washer and dryer when I could have just put them in my storage.
Get over it. There is something that doesn't ring true, sir, about your story that you told her more than a year ago, that I'm letting you use this piece of equipment that breaks down, that once it's used, it becomes less functional. I'm going to let you use that for as long as it takes. And it just so happens that the time that you want it back is when you're moving in with a new girlfriend. By the way, whose washer and dryer is the new one that was purchased?
It is hers.
I just want her to hear that.
Yes, I've told her that many times.
Very good. And you know whose this is?
Yes.
Hers. Thank you. That's it. Have a happy life.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It boils down to he has a new girlfriend now.
I told her, I gave her my word that I'd let her use them until I moved out again.
And he needs somebody else to do his laundry.
I actually know how to do my laundry.
I mean, his mom did it, then I did it, and now she's going to do it.
Actually, she taught me how to do it.
I think she made the right decision.
I have no hard feeling towards her.
And I'm thankful. I'm very thankful.
If you move out of an apartment with a girlfriend, take everything.
Maria Prieto claims her son's former friend, James Alfter, started a fire in her home while trying to grow marijuana.
Ms. Prieto, you rented a house to the defendant.
That's correct.
And it is your claim that he is responsible for a fire in your home that resulted in damage Some of the damage was covered by insurance, but a great deal of it was not covered by insurance, and you want him to pay the balance.
That's correct.
Your out-of-pocket expenses. Mr. Alfter?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the way you pronounce your name?
Yes, ma'am.
You look petrified. Are you scared of me?
No.
You should be.
Yeah, a little bit.
Mr. Alfter says that your homeowner's insurance should have covered whatever losses there were. He wasn't doing anything wrong, and it was just an accident. That's your defense.
Yes.
Your Honor, I disagree.
Just. How old are you, sir?
20.
When did you move out of your home?
I've been on my own since I was about 18.
And how have you been taking care of yourself?
I work.
For whom?
Family business.
What kind of business?
Construction. Do concrete work.
Whose business is it?
It's my grandfather's.
Who else works there?
The crew, my dad, my brothers.
So it's a big business?
Yeah.
It's a lucrative business?
Yeah.
How much? Yes, try yes.
Yes.
How much do you get paid?
$30 an hour.
And you work 7 days a week, 6 days a week, 5 days a week?
40-hour weeks.
So you've got money in the bank?
I'm all right.
What?
Said I'm all right. Yes.
You have a car?
Yes.
In shape? Do you work out?
Yes.
You work out at home or in a gym?
The gym.
You have a gym membership?
Yes.
I ask you all these questions, sir, because I'm trying to find out a little bit about you. Because this complaint says, Mr. Alfter, that the fire that started in Miss Prieto's house, on what date?
September the 12th.
On what date did he move into the house?
He moved in July 1st.
Was started because in your bedroom, right?
In master bedroom, correct.
People usually sleep in the master bedroom, right?
Yes.
How many bedrooms were there in the house?
5.
How many people were living in the house?
Just 2.
You and who else?
Me and my roommate.
Male or female?
Male.
So that those were 2 bedrooms. You don't spend the night with your roommate, right? You each have your own bedroom, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But I guess you didn't want you or your roommate to get the master bedrooms, because then it would be unequal, so that you each stayed in other bedrooms.
Yes.
And you were using your master bedroom to grow marijuana. You actually hadn't brought in the plants yet, according to the complaint and the answer, but it was all set up with a whole bunch of lights, right?
Yes, there's equipment.
I mean, you weren't planning on shooting a film in there, were you?
No.
You were going to grow marijuana.
Yes.
What were you going to do with it when you grew it?
Well, I have anxiety, and I was going to try to get my card, cannabis card.
You have anxiety?
Yeah.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Your parents are alive?
Yes.
Did they know you were coming here today?
Yes.
Did they know that 10 million people were going to be watching you today?
Yes.
Did they offer you any warnings, sir?
Yes.
And I know that it's not relevant to the case, but I, because I am a mother, would like to know what your parents said to you.
They told me I better learn my lesson.
Both of them?
Yes.
Sounds like my kind of people. Who do you expect to pay for these damages that weren't covered by Miss Prieto's insurance as a result of your lunacy in trying to start a marijuana farm in her house?
Myself.
Right. So why didn't you just pay her, sir? Why did you force her to come here? You know, I mean, I know that she looks lovely and she appears to be a very nice lady, but why didn't you just say, I'm really sorry, I acted like an idiot, I'm 20 years old, I'm not fully grown up yet, you know, just help me out here. It'll never happen again. I'm going to cut my hair so I can see, you know, all of those things.
The sum, that amount that she wanted was pretty high. I thought the insurance would have covered it, but I was going to pay the deductible.
Yeah, but the insurance company didn't, for instance, pay for all the landscaping around the house that was singed.
But when I moved in the house, the land or the landscaping wasn't too caught up.
May not have been too caught up. What about the fact that she didn't have the use of her house for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, that's my fault.
So who should pay for that?
Myself.
Yes, ma'am. Can I see the bills, please?
Sure. And I have pictures also.
Should have listened to your parents, Mr. Alfter. Father's a pretty tough guy?
Yeah.
Are you using your real name today, sir?
Yes.
Is your father's last name the same as yours?
Yes.
Look what you did to her house. Bird, look what he did to her house. You planned on smoking an awful lot of weed, sir, for your anxiety. Why don't you go to a therapist?
I don't know.
Well, I would try a therapist before I would start farming again. Who helped you with all this, sir?
I did it myself.
What about your roommate?
No, well, he helped a little bit.
Was he going to be your partner?
No.
What does he do for a living?
He works.
For whom?
He does construction, too.
For your father?
No. No.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Please.
Okay, as far as all that equipment he purchased, and it was worth over supposedly $6,000, and he didn't have money to pay the rent. So he had money to go out there and buy all that, plus, you know, start his little lab thing. But on the other hand, he's making $30 an hour, and he could have just stepped up to the plate and said, I'm going to pay you. Even payments. I said, can you make payments? And he's like, yeah, I will. Never followed through.
He's very anxious because he's not smart. And unless he gets smarter, he's going to remain anxious. Mm-hmm. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Say sorry.
Sorry.
Not to me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000, that's all.
22-year-old Brittany Bugby is suing her ex-roommate, 21-year-old Amanda Lauderdale, for rent, damages to the apartment, and for painting her room purple.
Miss Bugby, the defendant, who was a friend of yours, moved into your home when you had a fight with your boyfriend, according to her, and he moved out. You needed someone to help you with the rent.
Yes.
She agreed to pay rent, and it is your claim that she left, owing you money for rent, and she or her boyfriend caused some damage to the house. You want her to pay for the damage to the house, and you want her to pay the rent that she owes you.
Yes, that's
Ms.
correct.
Lauderdale says that she paid you rent for each and every month that she was living with you, that she caused no damage to your house, and that I think that there's a room color that you don't like. What's the room color that you painted your room?
Purple.
Purple. And that the landlord doesn't like the purple, you're going to have to repaint that, and you want her to pay for that.
Yes.
How long did you live with her?
From August, and I moved out November 1st.
August what?
I don't remember the exact
August
date.
what?
August 2nd.
And you moved out November 1st?
Yeah, that's not right.
When did she move out?
She moved out November 5th. That's not right. That's when you noticed.
Just a second. How much rent were you supposed to pay?
$650 a month.
Did you pay $650 in August?
Yes.
Is that correct?
No, and I have proof.
I
I have
see
a
the proof.
bank statement here showing the check that Amanda gave to me, which was only $600.
Can I see it?
Yes.
I don't believe I ever gave you a check.
It was from your mother. It's towards the back. It's a check that her mother wrote to me for her rent.
For $600?
For $600. She said she'd give me the $50 later when she got paid, but she never did.
Okay. So that's $50 for August. What about September?
Actually, if you look through there, it'll show every month that I paid my rent for a $1,300 check, but it never shows any deposits of $650.
That's not what I asked you. I said, did she pay?
No,
did
I'm
you
sorry.
pay September's
Yes.
rent? Show me.
I always paid her in cash. I gave all my cash to Brittany. Never asked for any receipts because at the time she was a very good friend and I didn't think we would end up here.
Where were you working in September?
I was working at Nordstrom.
You work full-time at Nordstrom?
Not anymore.
So what do you do?
Right now I am planning on going to school. Right now I'm not doing anything.
So you don't do anything. When did you stop doing something?
I believe it was early November, probably a week after I moved out of Brittany's house.
Okay. So when she didn't give you any money, according to you, in September, what did you say to her?
She said that she hadn't got paid yet and that she was going through some financial problems. She was
With
my
what?
best friend. She owed money still to some electric companies and some gas companies from living in an apartment previously, and she still owes money to them as far as I still know.
What about October? She give you any money in October?
She tried to give me a check. It was a third-party check from her Nordstrom's, and I deposited it into my account to me, and I asked Amanda if she would cash it and give the money to me, but she never did.
Why did they return it?
In order to do a third-party check, she signed the check over to me, and I put it into an ATM, but I guess you're supposed to take it into the bank and show your IDs. You can't do it through an ATM.
So why didn't you do that?
Amanda said she was just going to go get it cashed.
I wouldn't have given the check back to her.
Well, I couldn't do anything with it.
Sure you could. You go into the bank with it.
Mm-hmm. And
You go into the, you just said to me
that
that your bank told you you have to take the money, go into the bank. So instead of giving it back to her, if she owed you for 2 months' rent, I would have gone into the bank. I would have made that little extra trip.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I guess I'm right. Now, she gave you rent for October, but you couldn't cash the check. She took the check and didn't give you any cash.
Correct.
And you didn't say anything to her.
I asked her for the money, and she told me that she would be giving me the money for October and November on the 7th when she got paid. And that was the last I heard from her.
Not true. Not true.
Why did you get into difficulty with your prior bills?
Because at the time I was living with a boyfriend, and I was the only one working, and I could no longer support both of us. So I moved out.
And when you moved out, the utilities were in your name?
Mm-hmm.
So how much do you owe them?
I never received any of the bills after I moved out. I have no idea how much I owe.
All you have to do is make a phone call.
You're right.
I know. I believe her when she says that you didn't pay her rent. I believe her.
Okay.
Now, why did you decide to leave?
Because she had told me that she was using cocaine, and that's why she had a miscarriage. And I just felt like her lifestyle was making me feel very uncomfortable. She was bringing home strange guys in the house all of the time, crying to me about all this stuff, and I couldn't take it anymore. I talked to my mom about it, and my mom said that it'd be a better choice for me to live with my mom instead of Brittany.
That's not true. I don't do drugs whatsoever. I don't bring strange men home, and that's so false. I don't know how else to put that.
Who are you?
I'm Wilson, her boyfriend, Amanda's.
Current boyfriend, not the one that she moved out on?
Current, yes.
Are you the one who broke the door?
No. I was there for the party when the door got broken. It was a Halloween
Oh, well,
party.
I want to hear about that. Stand up. How'd you hurt your foot?
Slipped off some stairs.
Where were you?
At a friend's house.
Party?
No. Just hanging out at his house. Had a couple stairs in the front of his walkway and just slipped down one of them. Twisted the ankle real bad.
You can take the crutch with you if you like.
No, I can stand it.
Great. You get no sympathy from me for doing that. You understand?
Don't ask for it.
Okay, tell me about this party when the door got broken.
Halloween party, obviously. I was at work until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Got there about 1 o'clock, and it was kind of out of control. There was a dancing area, and by the door that got broken, someone opened up the door really fast. It had little glass sections in the door. Somebody swung it open and smacked the window broke. Brittany was trashed out of her mind. She had no idea what was going on. And that's what happened.
Now
I
I'll
saw
hear your
everything.
story.
All right, we were having a Halloween party, and a bunch of our friends were there, both of our friends. And shortly after Wilson showed up, one of his friends slammed the door open, and I was upset, and I said, Amanda, Wilson, make sure you get his phone number. And Wilson and Amanda both said, don't worry about it. It's Wilson's friend. We'll take care of it. They never did, and so now I'm suing for the amount.
You're not suing them.
Well, Amanda said that she would make sure that it was taken care of.
Well, listen, you can't rely on that. Amanda hadn't paid you rent in 2 months, according to you. How could you rely on her saying, I'll take care of it?
It's true, yes.
I don't believe you. Let's talk about the purple bedroom. Did you let her paint the bedroom purple?
Yes, I did.
Well, then you deal with it.
It's very dark. It's going to take 2 base coats to cover, and
I would start.
She did
Miss
a horrible
Bugby,
job.
I'd start. Okay, Miss Lauderdale, you owe her $1,300 in rent and another $50 from the first month. And the next time, if you pay somebody rent, you pay them by check and get a receipt, just like you did the first month that you were living there, paid by check. Do you understand? Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,350. That's all.
23-year-old Andrew Geraldson says his former friend, Brett Spielman, slashed 3 of his tires. Andrew claims his mother witnessed the incident.
Miss Powers, this is your son?
Yes.
According to your complaint, your son and the defendant had been friends.
Correct.
They were out together one evening. There was a falling out. Later that evening, according to you, the defendant slashed 3 of the tires on your car.
Correct.
You want him to be responsible for replacing them. Mr. Spielman says he didn't do it. What's your first name?
Andrew,
How old are you, Andrew?
23.
How long do you know Mr. Spielman?
I've known Mr. Spielman since about the 7th grade.
On what night were you out together, the night that the tires were slashed?
I believe it was a Friday night. I don't remember the exact
Remember the
date.
night?
29th, I think.
29th of?
December.
Where had you been?
We were on our way to Randy White's brother-in-law's boss's house.
You were driving?
Yes, I was driving.
What happened in the car?
An argument started because Brett Spielman wanted to get some marijuana and everybody else in the car was against that. And
Where did he want to go to get the marijuana?
To his dealer's house.
And did you know where that was?
No, I did not.
Did he tell you where it was?
No, he did not.
Was it on the way?
I hadn't even agreed to it, so he didn't get to the point of telling me where it was
Well,
at.
tell me exactly what he said.
He said, I want to go get some pot. Can you take me? And I said, no, and nobody else in this car wants to do that. Can you please stop with that altogether?
How many other people were in the car?
2, besides me and Brett.
And who are they?
Randy White and Brandon, his brother-in-law, which I do not know his last name.
So what happened?
So I said no, and he started ranting and raving and basically turned it into an argument with Randy White, and they were going back and forth, and I didn't want to hear it anymore, so I said, please stop, because they didn't get along anyway. So it basically had turned into an argument with them, and I said...
Where was he sitting, in the front or the back?
He was sitting in the front seat, beside me.
Okay, go ahead.
And then we had arrived to Randy's boss's house. We had both got out of the car while Randy and his brother-in-law went upstairs. We were downstairs smoking a cigarette, and it was going to take a turn to get violent because he was saying threats and all this.
Against whom?
Against me.
Why was he threatening you? I thought he was having an argument with Randy.
The argument was with Randy, but I took involvement in it because Randy was a lot smaller than him, and I didn't want it to go there, so I stepped up in Randy's place and then
And
basically...
what did you say to him?
I said, you need to stop all this right now or I'm going to make you walk home. And he said, you're not going to make me walk home, this and that.
Had he been drinking?
Have I been drinking?
Had he been drinking?
No, I do not think he had been drinking.
It was just nasty?
Yeah, he was just nasty with me.
Okay, keep going.
And then Randy and his brother-in-law had come back down, and we all got in the car, and I said, I'm going to make him walk home because he's just being too defiant for any of us to deal with.
What did he say when you told him he was going to walk home?
He got even worse, but...
Well, tell me what he said, Mr. Peck.
He was using a lot of cuss words, a lot of profanity, a lot of I'm going to everybody in that car, and just threats.
And that was on the 29th of December?
Yes.
What time?
I would say it was about 8 p.m.
Okay. Now let's fast forward a little bit, Ms. Powers. Tell me about the incident involving your tires. When did that take place?
December 30th.
What time?
I would say around shortly before 10, but not exactly. I don't know.
So tell me what happened.
Okay. It was a very, very stormy night. The wind was blowing and howling, and it was raining a lot. And the dog was circling the front door. And she was like yipping and barking, and she doesn't usually have that kind of behavior at all unless someone's at the door. But I opened the door and nobody was there. She kept doing it. So I opened the door again, and Mr. Spielman was standing on the other side of the car. My driveway comes up where the car is parked directly outside my front door, so I can clearly see it. And I said, what are you doing? Because it's kind of late to be coming over. And I thought he was coming to see my son, and just looked at me and took off.
Didn't say anything to you. Okay, keep going.
The next day I got up to go to work, and I, of course, didn't see the first tire because it was fine. Walked around the car and saw 1, 2, 3 tires flat. And so I called someone to come and take me to get new tires and called into work.
Okay, when did you see Andrew?
I saw him later that day.
Do you remember that day, Andrew?
Not too clearly. I remember her saying that 3 of my tires were slashed. Do you have any idea who would do it? And I said, I most certainly have an idea of who did it.
Well, I also...
Shut up!
Okay.
Don't speak. You said, I most certainly have an idea who did it.
Yes, regarding the incident.
And so you told your mother about the incident?
Yes.
And what did your mother say to you?
And then she said, I seen Brett in our driveway. I was thinking he would come up to get you, because at the time she didn't think I was enemies with Brett. And I said, well, that's who did it.
Okay. So when you said to her, I certainly do, and then she said to you, I saw
Brett in the driveway. And then we knew right there who it was.
Okay, good.
I just didn't think Brett would have done anything like that to me.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Spielman. Now I'm listening to you.
The statement's completely false.
Listen to me. Let's get to the car on the 29th of December.
Okay, cool. We were in the car.
Look at me. Don't look over there. You're in the car.
We are in the car. We do have a conflicting argument about something. Okay, marijuana. I do what I do when my time away from you.
Let's go slowly. You're in the car and you have an argument. You have an argument about what?
I really cannot even remember. Honestly, don't remember.
You just told me it was about marijuana.
If it was about marijuana, I'm saying I'm not denying that, because I do smoke marijuana on my pastime from time to time.
So that if Andrew says that the argument was about stopping to buy marijuana, that would be accurate.
It could have been, but it couldn't have been.
Well, if you don't remember, sir, then I have to credit Andrew's account of the evening of the 29th, because that would seem to be something that you would remember. Where do you live?
Sacramento.
And how far did you have to walk home?
I didn't walk home. See, that's where the story changes. He ended up giving me a ride home.
Did you ultimately give him a ride home?
No, I did not give him a ride home, Your Honor.
Okay. Did he threaten to leave you stranded?
Yes, he did, but it was raining pretty bad outside, so I kind of negotiated my way to get a ride home.
What do you mean you kind of negotiated?
Well, I said it's kind of raining out and I don't have a coat, and it would keep kind of messed up. I had to walk home.
Family for a very long time. How old are you now?
21 years old.
Currently on probation?
Juvenile, almost off. I'm going National Guard.
So the answer is yes, you're currently on probation.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been on probation?
Since I was like 17.
Keep going.
Okay. Are we still on the 29th or are we going the 30th?
No, we're past the 29th. I credit Mr. Geraldson's account of what happened on the 29th, sir. I believe he told me the truth. I believe you had an argument starting with Randy, ending up with Andrew about your desire to stop at person who supplies you with marijuana, to get some marijuana, and they didn't want to do it.
Though.
I'm speaking. And they didn't want to do it, and you became aggressive, and that's what the argument was about. So since you don't remember something that I probably would remember, but something that clearly you don't remember.
It was a year ago.
Well, I would remember, sir, a falling out that I had with a child.
He wasn't a very good friend. He always
Why don't
bickered.
you let me finish my statement, sir? Listen to the statement that I'm going to say to you. If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. Do you know what that means, Mr. Spielman?
Honestly, I do.
Tell me what it means.
It means if I know what happened, I don't have to remember. Look for the answer.
Right. That's what it means. So you're telling me it was over a year ago?
Over a year ago.
I'm speaking. And therefore you can't quite remember everything that happened that evening. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So if you don't remember what happened on the evening of the 29th, which clearly, you're in a car with people, there's a big argument, it's raining very badly, you have to negotiate your way back to the car in order to get a ride home. These are all little smatterings of things that you remember, right? Little smatterings of things that you remember.
Yeah.
You don't remember all of it, but you remember little pieces of it.
Most of it.
You remember most of it. So the argument was about marijuana.
Yes, it was. I feel
Perfect. Now that your memory has been refreshed, why don't you tell me about the 30th?
The 30th?
Look at me.
The 30th? Well, my mom can vouch that I was with her.
Don't ask your mom to vouch for anything, sir. I'm asking you.
On the 30th, I was at my residence from 6 o'clock in the night, and I fell asleep on my couch with my entire family with a movie night. The night before New Year's Eve, my mom volunteers at a local social club she's involved in on New Year's Eve, so we always are together on most holidays and that night usually.
Well, just a minute. I don't understand something. Does your mother volunteer her time?
I'm
speaking!
Well,
Does your mother volunteer her time at a social club, sir, so that she's not home on the 30th, so the rest of your family gets together? Is that what you're just telling me?
No, the night before we all stay together because we're going to be separated on New Year's Eve.
So is what you're telling me, sir, that you were together with your mother and the rest of your family?
Yes, I am.
And if I were to ask you, you would tell me that your son was home with you?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be unfortunate. That would be unfortunate.
I'm sorry.
I have a couple of questions for you. What does he do for a living?
He's going to the National Guard. He's been working.
So the answer is he doesn't do anything?
He's not working currently, no.
And he's not going to school?
No.
And how long have you permitted that circumstance?
He's only not worked a few months. He's going...
A few months is a very long time, filled in on probation. What did he do before a couple of months ago? Who did he work for?
A company called Prologics.
What kind of work did he do?
Warehouse work.
And why did he leave that job?
They merged with another company and downsized.
So he got fired?
Laid off.
How many children? Did I ask you a question?
No, you didn't, but it's just making me sound worse than I am, you know? Be fair, too.
I don't mind being fair, sir, when people tell me the truth.
I'm honestly telling you the truth.
Oh, no, you're not. The sweat on your brow tells me you're not.
I'm on TV.
Did you see sweat there? Look. You see sweat there?
No.
There. Look at your mother. Is she sweating? You know why she's not sweating? Because I didn't ask her what happened on the 30th. That's why she's not sweating. If I asked her what happened on the 30th, I guarantee you she'd be, when I got finished with her, she'd be sweating. How much were the tires?
Our tires were popped, too.
I'm not asking you a question.
I have the invoice here.
Can I see it, please?
Excuse me, Judge.
Yes.
May I submit my receipt for towing?
Absolutely. I'd like to see it, please. So between the towing and the tires, you have $394. Is that right?
Roughly, yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $394. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you. You're lucky your probation wasn't violated.
Sanchez is suing 34-year-old school clerk Leroy Ulibarri for breaking his finger.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 501 on the calendar in the matter of Sanchez versus Ulibarri. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mr. Sanchez, your complaint alleges that the defendant broke your thumb or finger
My middle left finger.
while he was engaged in some sort of a prank finger wrestling with you. Is that right?
Yes.
Not right.
He says, no such thing. So you want to start and tell me your side of this story, sir, so that I can try to make heads or tails of it, because the answer that I have bears no resemblance to your complaint.
Okay. On November 14th, we were invited to have dinner with some friends of ours. And anyways, you know, we had dinner and there was some, you know, drinking and stuff like that. And I was in the living room at the time.
Is that?
No, I was at my witness's house, his and his girlfriend's house.
And he was there?
Yes, he showed up a little bit later.
I wasn't there.
I know. Listen to me. I'm going to get to your side in a minute.
He showed up a little bit later on in the night. Okay, well, anyway, at that time, I was in the living room, and I was talking to my wife. I looked over, and we just made some eye contact. He waved me over. I walked over there. He, like, stuck his hand out. I didn't know exactly what we were going to, you know, what he was talking about or what he wanted to do. So I went over and grabbed his hand, and he said, no,
How did I do
put your
that?
hand this way.
Step up.
He said, put your hand this way. He stuck his hand out in, you know, in the motion like this. So I grabbed his finger, he grabbed my finger. He started pulling a little bit, and he just turned his hand a certain way. I don't know how he did it exactly. Broke my finger. It was completely sideways.
You're suing him for $4,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Say that he, because of the broken finger, you were out of work and you had medical bills and pain and suffering and whatever. That's the way it happened. Is
Yes.
that right?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
No, that's not the way it happened.
Now it's your turn.
All right. I was building my house on November 14th.
Look at me.
At that time, when I was building my house, we were putting shingles on my roof, me and my neighbors. At that time, Mr. Sanchez drove up to my property.
Did you know him, sir?
No, I did not know him. At that time, I did not know him. And as he drives up, well, I'm on top of the roof, and I could see what's going on, you know, my property. So I'm on top of the roof, and I look over there, and then I see, and I ask him, can I help you? Yeah, he tells me, it's Joseph here. And that is Joseph, that gentleman over there. That's my cousin's boyfriend. And I said, no. And at that time, my neighbor asked me to get another bundle of shingles. And I said, sure. Like, I was right by the ladder. I was going down. And by that time, Mr. Sanchez had already came to the ladder. And he volunteered to lift the bundle up
Your
towards
Honor,
the
he's
ladder.
lying about the whole thing.
At that time.
Sorry.
So he goes up, he gets it, and grabs the bundle, and he puts it up in his shoulder. And with his left hand, he's climbing up the ladder. As he did that, he tosses the bundle over. And at that time, like, I was right by him, and then that's when I heard, you know, some like, ow, man, I heard my... I said, what happened? He said, oh, I just bent my finger or something, he said, you know, to that point.
Okay, so according to you, let me just understand this. According to you, on the same date that he says that this incident happened with the finger wrestling, you say that you were working on your house, he drove by, you had never seen him before, he was there looking for his cousin.
Exactly, yes.
His cousin wasn't there, he came out and he volunteered to help you take some shingles up to the roof.
One
where
whole
you were...
bag.
You just stop me if I'm wrong. Okay. Don't help me if I'm right, all right? And as he was taking the shingles up the roof with his big bundle, he tossed the bundle and bent back and said, ouch, I hurt my finger. Okay, so far, am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor, you are.
Now, so what happened next with regard to his hurt finger?
At that time, I offered him, I told him not to worry. I didn't know this guy. I told him not to worry about it. I have home insurance. Well, I'll see what I could do. That's when I called my insurance company, State Farm, and they said, no problem. So I did it. They then got a hold of Mr. Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez told him what had happened.
Now, Mr. Sanchez, I want you to think very carefully, sir. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Were you contacted by the people from State Farm Insurance?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you spoke to a representative of State Farm Insurance and were asked to give a statement with regard to how this incident occurred. Is that right?
Yes.
And when you were asked to give this representative of State Farm Insurance a statement, your initial statement to the State Farm Insurance agent was that you hurt your finger at his house. Isn't that right, sir?
We lied about the whole thing.
We?
Hey!
Well,
am I speaking to anyone? I'm asking questions, and I will look at the person who I want to respond to that question. You were contacted by State Farm.
Yes.
And you told them that this accident happened while you were helping him with the building of his house. Am I correct?
Under false testimony.
Your false testimony.
Right. Ours.
No.
No.
Ours.
No. When you say ours, he wasn't on the phone with you, is that right?
No, he wasn't.
You were on the phone with the representative of State Farm.
Yes, Your Honor.
You told the representatives of State Farm then a lie, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You told them a lie because you said that this accident happened
Yes.
at his house exactly as he says it did. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Just be very careful what you say to me, sir. I'm really much smarter than you are. On your best day, you're not as smart as I am on my worst day. Do you understand?
I understand that.
And later today,
I am 27 years old in the prime of my life, and I'm definitely not watching her kids for free.
Well, you were living for free.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ruben Sanchez claims Leroy Ulibarri broke his finger while hand wrestling. Leroy claims Ruben broke it helping him build his house.
Now I'm going to ask you, why did you lie to State Farm?
Okay, the reason we lied to State Farm
Not
was...
wait. Hey, the reason you lied to
Okay,
State Farm.
I'll tell you the reason I lied to State Farm. Okay, it was because I was pressuring him because of the money that I had lost, being that I wasn't getting paid at work because I didn't have any accumulated time or anything.
Just a second. Wait a second. Backtrack.
Okay.
You were contacted by State Farm.
Yes.
Several days after this incident.
Yes.
Weeks.
So, if you do it again, I'm throwing you out of here.
Okay.
Do you understand? Several days afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't lose weeks of work when they contacted you. Just be very careful what you say to me, sir. I'm really much smarter than you are. On your best day, you're not as smart as I am on my worst day. Do you understand?
I understand that.
So now let's start again.
Okay.
Why did you lie to State Farm?
Because at the time, that was the only way that Leroy was going to be able to give me any kind of compensation for the money that I had lost.
You hadn't lost any money so far. You just thought you could get more money.
No.
You just thought you could get money.
No, ma'am. I needed the money. I had to pay some bills. I was falling behind on my bills. I wasn't receiving a paycheck. Nothing was getting paid.
Now, when you spoke to the people at State Farm Insurance,
Yes, ma'am.
did you tell them the story just as honestly as you just told me your story?
Yes, I did.
You told them that you went to his house, you were helping him do some building, that's what you told them?
Yes, I did.
And this accident occurred, you hurt your finger?
That's the lie, yes.
Right. And State Farm representatives said not to worry, they would take care of your expenses.
Yes.
Up to how much?
$1,000.
Then what happened?
Then me and my wife started talking about it. You know, she was against it the whole time. You know, she straightened me out on the matter. I got a hold of them, told them it was a big lie, okay? And anyways, I called them up and told them what really happened because I realized I was going to have to bring this to court. I didn't want to bring any lies with it.
How much later did you tell her what happened?
It was about 3 weeks.
So it took you 3 weeks to decide not to commit insurance fraud. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh. Go ahead, sir. Now it's up to you.
Yeah, I got some documents here that I would like for you to see.
Sure.
That of his age and...
Let me read them. I can read.
Okay. Well, there's the first one, and if you could see the other documents and put those two together, and you could see that this is just a bunch of nonsense here. He's just trying to get some money off me, and he's not going to get it.
Did you go to see Dr. on the 20th of November, 1998?
Yes, he's my primary physician.
Shh.
Okay.
I'm asking questions. Yes, you went to see him. He's your primary physician. He says that he had a conversation with you, and you told him that you were injured on November 14th while breaking up a fight.
Yes.
Okay. So now you lied to the insurance company a few days later, and then you lied to your doctor. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, you tried to explain to me, Mr. Sanchez, why you lied to the insurance company. Now, why don't you try to tell me why you lied to your doctor?
See, I didn't realize I was going to have to sue the man or anything. I just
No, listen to me.
Yes, I
You
understand
had
what
two
you're saying.
choices.
I don't know why. Yes,
You
I
had
did.
two choices when you went to the doctor.
Yes.
You could have told the doctor the one story that you gave me from column A, which is that he broke your finger during a finger wrestle. You could have told your doctor when you saw him a few days later the story that you just told me from column B, that you lied to the insurance company, but in fact,
yes,
that happened sometime other than at his house. Instead, you chose a third story.
I was embarrassed about the whole situation.
Mr. Sanchez, why would you be embarrassed about the whole situation, sir? Either you hurt your finger with a hand wrestle that was a silly thing.
That's
that
why I
doesn't,
was embarrassed,
Just
ma'am.
a second. That couldn't embarrass you. Why would that embarrass you? Any more than coming into an open courtroom and being embarrassed.
I was embarrassed about the whole situation.
Well.
I didn't realize it was going to come to this point. I'm not going to lie to you about it. I'm telling you the truth. I've got my witness.
How am I supposed to determine that, Mr. Sanchez?
Well, I've got my witness also.
You think that I'm going to believe him?
Well, it
You think
happened
you
at
have
his
any
house.
clue that you have anything that I'm going to believe him? He can't even keep a straight face. He can't even keep a straight face in this matter,
That's
sir.
because he likes you so much.
Well, I want to tell you something. I ain't crazy about him.
I realize that.
I've been watching him as you're testifying, and he wouldn't know the truth if he came up and slapped him in the face, and neither would you. Your case is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may
Right.
step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
This guy here got away with a good lie. The truth was, he did break his finger at my house for a dinner that we all got together.
And now we know who was saying the truth and who was not saying the truth.
Well, I got burned on my own knives.
And now the next case.
All parties on Rutherford versus Harris. Step forward, please.
37-year-old realtor Hazel Rutherford is suing her niece, 27-year-old model Andrea Harris, for $500 she used for modeling pictures. Andrea says she returned the favor by babysitting.
Miss Rutherford, this is your niece.
Yes, that's correct.
Is that your sister's daughter?
Yes.
According to your complaint, your niece came to you and asked for a loan of $500. Is that right?
That's true.
What did she want that for?
Well, she told me that she needed the money for modeling, to take some pictures. And she put me in a tight time frame, and she started really putting a lot of pressure on me. And I love my niece, my family, and I usually try to help my family.
And so you gave her the $500?
Yes.
What did you do with the $500?
I had a friend of mine that I knew that had taken pictures before, prior to me getting my pictures taken, and they told me this guy could do some work with some old pictures that I had in the past.
You were using the money for modeling pictures?
Exactly.
All right. And when you borrowed the money from your aunt, what did you tell her?
I told her if she could give me a loan for $500, I would give it back to her within a couple of months.
Okay. So it was clearly a loan.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She loaned you $500, Miss 27-year-old. What you're saying to me is you didn't have to freeload from her. There were other people you could have freeloaded from.
Correct.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Hazel Rutherford wants her niece, Andrea Harris, to pay her back $500 she used for modeling pictures.
Miss Rutherford, you say further that your niece didn't have a place to live, so you let her move into your house for a while.
Yeah, she was laid off like a month later. So I said, you know, she asked if she could move in until she found another job. And I said, okay. So she stayed with me about 6 weeks.
When she came to live with you, did she pay rent?
No.
Did she pay any money?
No, I told her that she could keep that money to look for a job and get back on her feet.
Is that right?
No.
Did you pay your aunt rent?
No, I didn't.
Did you pay any utilities?
No, I didn't.
Did you pay for food?
Yes, I have a preference of what I like to eat, and so I kind of like, you know, got my own food for myself.
You got all your own food?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so you had no rent, no gas, no electric. What about the telephone?
I didn't pay a phone bill.
Okay, now, so I'm getting this because your defense to this case is that while you were there for this 6 weeks, you babysat for her children.
Mm-hmm.
And since you babysat for her children, and that's very expensive, if she had to get a babysitter elsewhere, this loan should be even.
Correct.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. Did you have a discussion with your aunt about babysitting?
Yes, we did.
Good. Tell me about the discussion when she first asked you to babysit.
Yes, the first time she came to me and wanted me to watch the kids, she had an open house, and I agreed that I would watch the kids. And this was out of our area. And I agreed to watch the kids, and at the same time that I did, she was like, you know, the money that, you know, that I gave you, don't worry about, you know, we can take some of it away from the money that she loaned me, because I wasn't watching her kids for free. I mean, I am 27 years old in the prime of my life, and I'm definitely not watching her kids for free.
Well, you were living for free. Just a second. You were living for free, right? If you're 27 years old and in the prime of your life, Miss Harris, if you're in the prime of your life, then you pay for your rent, you pay for your utilities, you pay for the phone, you pay for all your expenses. You aren't working. You moved into your aunt's house because you weren't working. I assume that that's why you had free time in order to watch the children. So she didn't ask you for money for rent, did she? Did she?
No, ma'am.
So, you want to say something?
Yes, I went by her home one day, and I was knocking on the door, and the neighbor came out, and he said, well, you know, she's on a vacation. And I started thinking, he said she went to a vacation in Hawaii, but she don't have the money to pay me back. And I told her this money was for my mother, her grandmother, to help her get some equipment to help her walk better. She have problems walking. And now it's just like a lot of excuses. I did manicures, pedicures for you, and I did this and that. I love my family, and I help them, and they just like cut me in the back every time I help them.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY. On the internet, judgejudy.com.
What, Miss Harris?
Some of the things she's saying is not correct. When I got laid off, I had a couple of options. She wasn't my only option. I was going to go stay somewhere else, and she kept calling me saying, oh, no, we're family. You know, we're the only people we have here. You know, come stay with me. So it's not like I'm freeloading, getting, you know, getting kicked out of my place, and I need to go live with her. That wasn't the situation. She offered, and when she offered, I figured at that time I could help her out. So I did her a favor.
She loaned you $500, Miss 27-year-old. What you're saying to me is you didn't have to freeload from her. There were other people you could have freeloaded from.
Correct.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I love my family, and I usually try to help them, but she needs to take responsibility and stop taking, you know, trying to take me for granted. And I'm just sorry I had to do this.
Regardless, even after it's all over, I love my family, and she's my aunt. She's going to always be.
I do love her. I'm just so disappointed in her, you know, right now.
I still love you.
Yeah, okay. Well, still I want my money. Okay.
property while she was in jail.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 617 on the calendar in the matter of Costin versus Watson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Costin, the defendant is the sister of one of your children's fathers. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were not married to her brother?
No.
How many children do you have?
One. I have three, but one is related to this
Well, that's what I mean. You have 3 children.
Right.
But you're the aunt of only one. Is that the youngest child?
The oldest child.
The oldest child. According to your complaint, you were incarcerated.
Yes.
And you claim that while you were incarcerated, the defendant took things from your home.
Yes, Your Honor.
She said she was nothing but nice to you. As a matter of fact, she has custody of one of the children. Is that right?
Yes, I do. I'm
Is
a
that
legal guardian for her son.
Did you get custody of that child when she went to jail?
While she was in jail.
While she was in jail. All right, now what makes you think she took property out of your house?
We came into a verbal agreement that she would step in and take care of my personal possessions and take care of things for me while I was away, and when I would come home, that I would have something to come home to.
When did you contact her?
I contacted her, this was probably around about November of 1996.
You were in jail at the time?
Yes, I was.
How long were you in jail?
Until October of 1998, Your Honor.
And did you have an apartment?
Yes, ma'am. I had a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, fully furnished apartment with a double-car garage that also contained several personal property items.
Was it a rental?
Yes, it was, Your Honor.
Who was paying the rent?
I had a friend that was in need of a place to stay. The defendant was opposed to that. She suggested her sister, Teray, move into my apartment. Teray and her boyfriend moved into my apartment.
Did the landlord approve of somebody else living in the apartment?
My landlord did not know anything about this until later on.
How long did these other people live in your apartment?
Probably about maybe 4 or 5 months until my landlord did find out about it.
And then they threw everybody out?
Well, yes, he wanted them to move out of the apartment. At this time, Miss Watson said that she would take care of my items, that she would make sure everything was moved out of my apartment, which via phone conversation, she did state over the phone that she had moved all my stuff out of the apartment. I have letters from Miss Watson that she wrote to me during my incarceration, Your Honor.
Can you see them?
She also stated items she sent to me while I was incarcerated. These items were in my personal file cabinet, which was in my house. I also have pictures of items that came out of my house. I also have a list of my items that came out of my apartment. There is also listed an IBM Aptiva computer that was in pawn. Ms. Watson had possession of these because while in my incarceration, I released my purse to Ms. Watson, which contained my house keys, my wallet with all my identification, credit cards, what have you. That's how Ms. Watson was able to obtain my computer, my wedding ring, my mother's ring. She redeemed those items from the pawn shop. These receipts were in my wallet that was released to Ms. Watson. I also have letters where I had to contact my financial institution to put a block on my account. I have statements from there that shows Ms. Watson wrote several checks off of my account, which my checkbook was also in my personal property.
Well, first show me proof that she took things out of the pawn shop for you.
Yes, ma'am, they're right here.
Did you take things out of the pawn shop for her?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
What did you do with them?
I gave them to her daughter.
Which daughter?
The oldest daughter. That's what she asked me to do.
Did you speak to your daughter?
Yes, I did, Your Honor. I have also questioned my daughter. She asked my daughter, did she get any of my items? This Ms. Watson never mentioned anything about she giving any of my items to my daughter. I've never asked her to give anything to my daughter whatsoever.
Let me see what else.
These are copies that I had my financial institution sent to me of checks Ms. Watson wrote from my account. There's a list of items that came out of my apartment.
Just a second. Just a second. Did you ever draw checks out of her account?
I didn't, but I'm aware that it was done in order to pay the landlord.
Did you pay the landlord?
Yes, he did get paid.
How much was the rent on your apartment?
Your Honor, I believe at that time it was only maybe about $125, $130, $35.
I have 3 checks. 2 of them are for $650, and 1 of them is for $600. Who are you?
I'm the witness. I was staying in the house. Me and my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And so she was on Section 8. So the landlord came out, and I signed the Section 8 for her, and I told the Section 8 people that she was incarcerated or whatever, you know. The Section 8 people, they stopped the Section 8 because they wanted to see her. So at that time, the landlord was asking for the regular rent because the Section 8 wasn't paying for the voucher. I took
That's $650. That's not her problem. Why should she pay for your rent?
She wasn't paying for my rent.
You sure she was? If you were living there and the landlord said, in order for you to stay there, we're taking the Section 8 off the rent and we're going to charge the regular rent, which is $650, and you wrote out checks for $650 to cover the apartment while she was living there, why should she pay for her living in the apartment?
She asked her to take care of her daughter because the daughter was on the Section 8 lease, and but the problem is I didn't know she was going to be gone for 2 or 3 years. She didn't know how long she was going to be. I could see trying to help with the situation for a limited amount of time, but it was just too long.
Ms. Costin, the funds that come into this bank,
Your Honor, I have
it's a government check.
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
My son receives benefit from his deceased father.
Just a second. So this money was for your son?
Yes, ma'am.
And who was taking care of your son?
At that time, my son was between various group homes. A couple of times, Miss Watson did pick him up and take him.
How long has the child been with you?
For over 2 years.
Well, these checks are all written around that time. So, Ms. Costin.
Yes, ma'am.
You say that this government check is for your son?
Yes, ma'am.
For your son that she was taking care of?
Yes.
She could take this money. What am I going to give it to you? Why might I give it to you? This money is not yours. This money belongs to your son. If, in fact, you had money in your bank that was yours, that you worked for and saved, and had in a checking account or in a savings account that was yours, and she wrote checks out to herself for $600 and was using that, you know, to support somebody else that you had absolutely no nexus to, I would say you have to give this money back, Miss Watson. But this is a government check for your son that you say you got because he had a father who died,
yes.
Right? That child was in her custody. So, and I assume she supported him.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I asked her repeatedly, over and over again, Anita, I'm ready to, get my property. I have a place. She then put her live-in boyfriend, Demetrius, on the phone, who stated, Anita says that you're intimidating her. How am I intimidating her?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. When Evelyn Costin went to jail, she left her belongings with her niece's aunt, Anita Watson. Evelyn now claims Anita stole her stuff. Anita says she cared for Evelyn's kids while she was behind bars, but didn't steal anything.
What kind of work did you do?
I was a certified nurse's aide and also worked through a nursing registry.
What were you incarcerated for?
Petty theft, Your Honor.
Petty theft, you don't get anything more than a year in jail, madam. You were in jail for more than a year. More than a year is a felony. What were you convicted of?
With the prior, Your Honor.
Prior for what?
Petty theft.
Petty theft from where?
From a department store, Your Honor. Basically, it was making a refund exchanges against my own credit cards.
So you amassed a lot of money. I'm just wondering how you got all this money.
Your Honor,
from a money market fund. Substantial interest every month from a fund. Just curious.
Your Honor, and any money that is in that account did not come from any illegal use. My son inherited some money from his father, and I put it into an investment account for him to go to college.
Mm-hmm. How much money is left in this account?
It's well over $10,000.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I have, if I can show you, I have a copy of her criminal record. As to most of this property, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole because I don't.
Where did all of her property go to?
I don't know. It was so long. I don't know where it went to. Her daughter. I turned the property over to her daughter, which I know her daughter is not that responsible. But I could not deal with. I couldn't care for her property for over 2 years.
Well, let me understand this. You were living there for a while. Ultimately, the landlord told you to move. Is that right?
Yes.
When you moved out of the apartment, what happened to all of her furniture in the apartment?
I had left for a while, and then I came back. All the things were in the garage. So I guess he must have...
What things were in the garage?
All the things from the house. Then I left them.
Your Honor, the witness, she was actually there at the property, but she told me that she saw the daughter taking things out.
When was the last time you saw your daughter?
Your Honor, my daughter just moved from my place last week. I have asked my daughter several times, over and over again, did she even ever go to the apartment? She told me no. This lady never gave her anything from my apartment. I have made contact with this woman. I've talked to her. She repeatedly told me it was okay. Don't worry about it. First of all, first you need to worry about getting a place. After about 2 or 3 weeks after I was released from custody, I have my place. I then contact her again, and I asked her repeatedly, over and over again, Anita, could you please, I'm ready to, get my property. I have a place.
Well, didn't you ask her?
She then got off the phone and put her live-in boyfriend, Demetrius, on the phone, who stated, Anita, what is the problem? Anita says that you're intimidating her. How am I intimidating her? Because I'm asking for my property? I was even settling. Just give me my photograph. Things that belong to my mother. That is all I want back.
Okay, Ms. Costin, I need proof that she has your property. You were incarcerated for over 2 years, right? She is under no obligation to maintain your property.
She came into a verbal agreement, Your Honor, over and over again.
Ms. Costin, pay careful attention. She is under no obligation to babysit for your property. I think she probably did a very stupid thing by having this lady move into your apartment, because I'm not sure what this lady did with any of your stuff. I mean, I wouldn't have a stranger in my apartment, but the truth is, your alternatives were limited when you were incarcerated.
Yes, they were.
Where are you living now?
I'm living in Los Angeles, Your Honor. I have pictures and itemized list of things that were in my apartment.
I can't do anything about it. You were in jail, madam. Nobody has to take care of your things. There are a lot of people in and out of the apartment. Courts need proof. You're claiming that she stole things from your apartment. I have no proof that she stole anything from your apartment. That's what your claim is for, that she stole things. You gave her the ability to go and get stuff out of a pawn shop, jewelry, etc., right? She says she gave it to your daughter. She says she doesn't have it. And she says to me that you told her to give the things to your daughter.
Your Honor, I never told her once to give anything to my daughter. I never told her once.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your Honor, she gave up custody. She gave her son to the courts. I mean, she said she didn't want him anymore.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Evelyn Costin claims Anita Watson stole her property when Evelyn went to jail.
Ms. Costin, I don't know what advice I can give you at this point. I assume that you're on your own, you're living in Los Angeles. I assume that you still have some funds in this bank. You have $10,000 in this account, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
That is for my son.
Good. And, well, that's his money. It was left to him, you said.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume that you are getting the checks paid directly to you from Social Security for the child now. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So the child, how much does he get every month?
$638.
$638. That was the deposits that were made here in your account, $638 government check. Do you visit with the child that's in her custody?
She uses my son against me. She hasn't let me see my son. I've seen my son one time since I've been home, and that was only because I had to call the social worker because Miss Watson had had him out of school for well over a month, and I found that out through calling the school and getting his attendance.
Ms. Costin, you know about going to the family court. Your children were both placed in protective custody. Your 7-year-old child is still in protective custody and has been probably living with a foster family, I hope just one, for the last 3 years, right?
Yes.
Do you visit with that child?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Did they give you an order of visitation with regard to your son who is in her custody?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
That I'm to see my son every Sunday between 3 and 4 o'clock at McDonald's, which I've even called Miss Watson on several times and asked why he was not there.
Do you go there every Sunday?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. And I sit there.
Your Honor, what happened was she called her son, told him she was going to be able to pick him up when she got out of jail. She didn't pick him up. He went crazy. Now he doesn't want to see her. I mean, he's still crazy. How
old is he?
I mean, it hurt him a lot.
How old is he?
He's just turned 15.
Oh, so he's a big boy.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Well, then there really isn't much that I can do about that. And the only thing to do about that is when you go back to the family court, I assume that you do periodically. Is that right?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And do you have a lawyer there?
Yes.
I would suggest that you ask the lawyer to see if the lawyer can set up through the court some joint counseling, like once a month with your son.
Your Honor, there was also an order that we were to have counseling. She doesn't even allow me to see my son. He isn't even living with her. He's living with my oldest daughter's father.
He's not living with you?
Since she's been out, he's been with my brother. My brother, both of her children were affected by prenatal drugs, okay? They have serious problems. She has a way of setting them off. He's set off right now.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY. On the internet, judgejudy.com.
Sounds to me like you should be more concerned with the kids than your property.
Your Honor,
she gave up custody. She gave her son to the courts. I mean, she said she didn't want him anymore.
You mean she agreed to terminate her parental rights?
Yes,
to the boy?
she did. Miss Watson is not telling the truth.
Did you voluntarily place him?
The only thing that I signed was to have him live with her to keep my son from being moved around. I was thinking about what was better for him.
Because he was in foster care.
Yes, ma'am. That was the only thing I
And he was
signed.
moving around. He wasn't doing well.
Right. And he wanted to stay with her.
So you agreed to guardianship?
Right.
Permanent guardianship?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. You have a 7-year-old daughter. Ms. Costin, I have a sense that all of your kids have had a very troubled time.
None of my kids have been affected by post-pregnant, whatever she said.
Were any of your children born with drugs in their system?
No, ma'am.
Never?
Never.
Okay.
Not one.
Okay. So I suggest you put a period, not worry about your furniture, and try to move on with it. I don't know who has your furniture. I don't know if she knows who has your furniture. You need proof in a court, and you know that. And if you're really concerned about your children, and if your 15-year-old son is at least legally in her custody, I wouldn't be suing her. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy, keying her car and ripping a gold chain from her neck. James is countersuing for damage to his car and harassment.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 674 on the calendar in the matter of Sewell versus Ware. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
All right, Ms. Sewell, you and the defendant had been involved in some sort of a relationship. He went to jail, according to your complaint. When he got out of jail, he keyed your car. Is that right?
Yes, he did.
Did you see him do it?
I seen him do it the second time. The first time, my sister saw him do it.
Step up here. What was he in jail for, by the way? What were you in jail for, sir?
She sent me to jail for, well, it wasn't jail. I caught a parole violation. The way the parole system works is all she has to do is make a complaint, and they put me back in prison.
How long were you on parole?
I was on parole for 4 years.
What were you originally incarcerated for?
Involuntary manslaughter.
And during that parole period, she called and registered a complaint about you.
Yes.
Was her complaint domestic violence?
More or less. I have her charges here.
Let me see. And when you went back to jail, how long did you serve, sir?
She did it a couple of times. The first time was 6 months, and the second time was 2 years.
You did 6 months, but that wasn't on a parole violation.
Well, yeah, it was on a parole violation that I did a 6-month violation because she said that I had stole her gold chains, and she's done this a couple of times. It's like a fatal attraction that she has for me.
All right. Listen to me. Did you ever witness him keying her car?
Yes, I did. The first
What's
scratch.
your name?
Sandra Masal.
Miss Masal, when was that?
It was the end of October. He came to my house on a Saturday.
October of 98?
98. Came to my house about 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, knocked on the door. I got up because she was asleep, and I asked who it is. He said, Jamie, and he looked in my window, the top of the door, and I said, just a minute. And I went and woke her up, and I said, Carol, Jamie's out there, and I told you I don't want him on my property anymore. So she gets up, she goes outside, stayed out there about 20 minutes. She came back in, and I was watching out my bedroom window, and he walked over to the car with his key and went right down the side of her car.
Jamie, this lady is telling me the truth. When did you get out of jail?
I got out of jail August 29th, 1998.
8/29. So a month later, you were at her house.
No, I live with my fiance.
No. A month later, you went to her house.
No, I didn't.
You mean to tell me she's lying when she says you even came to the house to talk to her?
Very true.
In October?
I haven't been allowed at her house, Your Honor, for
that never
a couple years.
Jamie. Jamie. You have to be careful because then I won't believe anything that you tell me. Now, tell me about the gold chains.
Well,
you say you have the receipts for the gold chains. She says you ripped them off her neck.
yes, Your Honor. She's made malicious stories up on several occasions.
Well, I understand that. Your defense is not that it didn't happen. You said they're my chains, and I have the receipts for them.
Yeah, here's the receipt.
All right, so there you go. Let me see the receipt, please.
Sure. I'm unsure of what chain she's talking about.
Just a minute. Jamie. Jewelry. Where'd you get this from?
This was...
Where'd you get this from, Jamie?
Grand Discount Store.
No, where did you get it from in order to bring it to court today?
This was part of my parole package. These were the letters that she had sent. This was stuff that I'd saved while I was incarcerated.
Where did you get this receipt from?
Where did I buy the chain, Your Honor? This Grand Discount.
Jamie, we're going to go over this one more time. Otherwise, I'm going to send you outside, give you a copy of my first book. You know what the title is?
What is it, Your Honor?
Tell him, Bird.
Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining.
So I'm going to ask you again, Jamie. Where did you get this piece of paper with the date 11/4/96?
Okay, that goes with the copy of the report that I handed you. She said that I had sold her chain in 96. I'm unsure of what chain she's talking about.
She's talking about the one you ripped off her neck.
Well, see, she said that I had stolen... Oh, I don't know. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. She said, I don't know, Your Honor.
Well, tell me about how he ripped this gold chain off your neck.
I bought them gold chains at the Grand Discount over there by my job, 2 years, a year while he was locked up.
When did he rip them off your neck is what I want to know.
November 12th, 1998, at my job, when he brought the hatchet up to my job, which is on the police report that I have, charging him with a felony of robbery.
Okay.
That's what she says, sir. She said you came up to her job, you ripped the gold chains off her neck. Police report was filed on that date, November 12th, 1998. Are you telling me, Jamie, that you were never in her office?
No, that's her birthday, Your Honor, my fiance.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Are you telling me that you were not in her office on that day?
Yes, Your Honor. That's what I'm saying.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, I was with my fiance on her birthday.
I have a witness that he was with them that day, after he went to my job.
Name?
Donald Souders. I've just gotten off that work that day, Your Honor, and he stopped by. Well, actually, he called me first.
Were you friends?
Yeah, we were friends until, you know, some mishaps. But he called me. We were supposed to go to the gym that night. So, you know.
On November 12th?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, it was his girlfriend's birthday. How come he wasn't with her?
I don't know. He was with us. He was with me, my cousin, and my brother.
Yeah, go ahead.
As we were getting ready to leave, we've gotten a page with a 911 saying the police were looking for him. So we didn't know nothing, you know, about it till when we got home. And that's when he handed us the chain and said, give him back to Carol. We asked him why. He said because he went down there to get his pager and she wouldn't give it. He took a hatchet, was going to smash in her car if he didn't give the pager back. Then he snatched the chain. I told him he should have went about it a legal way to get that pager back. And he said it was too late and to give the chains back, and he left.
And what did you do with the chains?
I tried to call Carol up and see if she wanted them back because I didn't really want to get involved, but she was upset.
Where are the chains now?
She has them in the car.
Well, why didn't you bring them in so I could see them?
They're in the car. I forgot to bring them.
All right.
I got the halves in the car.
Show me the bill for the paint job on your car where he keyed it.
Your Honor?
What?
I was in Oregon on November 12th with my fiance.
So you mean he's lying and she's lying?
They're lying completely. I wasn't even in California on the 12th. That was her birthday, Your Honor.
Show me.
I was completely unprepared for that.
You mean to tell me the police never tried to contact you?
They never
Jamie, listen to me carefully, sir. Are you telling me that the police officer in this case never tried to contact you or never contacted you with regard to this complaint? Is that what you're telling me?
Your Honor, I cannot recall. I do recall, however.
No, don't tell me that you were in Oregon.
Honestly, Your Honor, I don't recall.
Well, you better recall, sir. I'm going to tell you why. Because if I were facing 25 years to life as a predicate felon, I would be very well aware of the fact that the police department contacted me on another violation. So I want you to think about it. I would be more aware of that than I would be whether or not I spent my girlfriend's birthday with her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There's something wrong with you. No. You had him put in jail because he raped you and violated you. Then you sent him nude pictures of yourself. What are you, Coco?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carol Sewell claims former boyfriend James Ware keyed her car and stole her gold chains. James says he paid for the chains and is countersuing for damage to his car and harassment.
Mr. Ware, on your best day, you're not as smart as I am on my worst day. Do you understand?
I understand.
Okay. Do you have an estimate on keying the car?
I have the estimates, the picture.
Let me see it.
To my car. The IOUs, the canceled checks he owes me for.
All right, the lowest estimate is $1,200. Now, you have a counterclaim.
Yes.
You say she keyed your car.
Yes, she did.
And she's been harassing you.
Yes, she has.
Okay, let me hear, Mr. Ware.
Well, she did key my car, right? She drives by my house yelling out malicious statements. She calls my phone and hangs up.
She calls your phone and hangs up. How do you know it's her?
Well, because when my mother answers, she won't say anything, and if I say hello, she'll respond.
Just a minute. So when you answer the phone, she talks?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's not a hang-up.
When everybody else answers, she hangs up.
So how do you know it's her?
Because she might have to call several times before I answer.
Okay. What's next?
She threw new pictures of herself in my fiance's car.
Let me see.
I have a witness to the keying of my car.
Listen to me. Shh. Did you ever put pictures of yourself undressed in his girlfriend's car?
No, I didn't.
Well, how did he get these pictures?
I was out in front of his house talking to his girlfriend.
Yeah?
He took the picture of me sitting in the car, and then he took, that's not his car, that's his father's car, by the way.
Do me a favor.
Sure.
Show her these pictures.
Well, them pictures?
Hey! Oh.
These pictures, I sent him to him in prison. That's how he got the pictures. You're allowed to send new pictures to prison.
Just a second. When did you send them?
It was when he was in Avenal.
That's when you had him put in jail?
Yeah, when I put him in jail.
There's something wrong with you.
You know.
You had him put in jail, according to you, because he raped you and violated you. That's you said in the, and then you sent him nude pictures of yourself.
Your Honor.
What are you, Coco? Jay, whiz. I just changed my mind. What a nut. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
I understand what you're talking about. I've told her.
Keep going, Mr. Ware. You're getting to look better and better to me. Hey,
Order.
Quiet. Or I'll clear the courtroom.
Now you understand. She drives by my house. There's pictures of her yelling at my fiance, harassing her, Your Honor.
I suggest you move, Mr. Ware. You have not
I did,
been...
Your Honor. I was living with her, and she was driving by, harassing her, and she called my house, you know. It's just nice that it's finally recognized. It was 2 years of my life, Your Honor, that I spent in prison because of the things she does. Here's letters that I just like to submit.
Yeah, but you went up to her office and you took your gold chains back. You know, I try to get to the truth, sir. I try to get to the truth. You tell me the truth all the time, I'll listen to you. But you got to tell me the truth all the time, sir.
She knows, Your Honor, she knows a lot of it. I can't even say it. It really hurts me to say things like this.
Just a second.
He witnessed the keying of my car. Those pictures were taken just this Sunday. Gary, he was out there. He saw her drive up. She was yelling. She was upping up her lawsuit to $2,000.
Step up here, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Well, you better see to it that she gets some psychiatric help, madam. Right?
She's nuts.
She's
afraid
nuts.
of him.
Yeah,
Your sister.
Yeah.
Right.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Carol Sewell is suing former boyfriend James Ware for keying her car and ripping gold chains from her neck.
When did you observe her driving by his house?
Sunday just passed, Your Honor.
Did you drive by his house this last Sunday?
Yes, I did.
For what?
Well, last week he came up to me and he got me and he wanted money. So to feed his dogs, I wrote him a check because I didn't have the cash on him. Then he brought his father up to my job and said that I didn't have no money, so I told him to return me the check then. But I had money.
Did you take a check from her?
No.
What is she talking about?
I don't even know, Your Honor. She sat out front of my mother's house. One time I had got out of prison for 3 days waiting for me to show up. She's witness to that. She followed me to my job, stopped me. I lost my job, a letter of termination, because she's yelling, cricking, screaming, yelling, how could I cheat on you at my job? It wasn't the best job, Your Honor. I'm not proud to say I was making pornos.
Something is wrong with you, madam. You better go to see a psychiatrist.
For
you
what?
better go see a psychiatrist.
For what?
Because you can't leave him alone.
Leave him alone? I work 13 hours a day. I don't have time to be
Listen
bothered.
to me. You can't leave him alone. You want to know why I know that that's true? Because no person in their right mind who says somebody violated them the way you say he violated you would turn around and send nude pictures of themselves to prison.
That was 2 years ago.
I don't care. You had him sent to jail.
I did.
For sexually violating you. And then you turn around and send him nude pictures of yourself? There's something wrong with you. Big time. Big time. Are you a friend of hers?
No, I'm her sister.
Well, you better see to it that she gets some psychiatric help, madam.
We try.
What?
We tell her.
Well,
She don't
stand up
listen.
here. Stand up here. You tell her?
Yeah, she don't listen, and then he's just as bad as she is. He does the same thing to her.
Just a second. He may.
Yeah.
He may. She's your sister. She's coming here and telling me she filed a complaint. She said she had him sent to jail.
Mm-hmm.
She had him sent to jail for raping and violating her.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, when he's in jail for violating her, She sends him provocative pictures, and when I asked her why, she said, because you're allowed to send nude pictures to people in jail. Right?
She's nuts.
I'm afraid
She's nuts.
of him.
You're her sister. Right.
I'm
Listen to me.
afraid of him. That's what I am.
You're afraid of him.
I'm
People are
afraid
afraid,
of him.
don't do this, madam. People are afraid,
Believe
don't
me,
do that.
it's out of fear. He's threatened to kill me before, and I'm afraid.
Then you shouldn't go by his house. You shouldn't go by his house for anything. Nothing. Who saw her key his car? Step. I don't believe the fiancée. She was about to lie about a birthday, so I'm not listening to her. Who are you?
His neighbor.
His neighbor.
Yes, ma'am.
Your name?
Antonio Elizarraz.
Last name?
Elizarraz.
That's a hard one. Antonio, right?
Yes.
Tell me what you saw her do, if anything, to his car.
My window's right here, like, right in back, and I seen, like, around 11:15.
When was this?
On the 8th of Monday, March.
On the 8th of March of this year.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
And her and another young man got off her car, and started hitting his car with a bat and breaking the windows and everything like that.
You saw that?
Yes, ma'am.
Here's a police report.
I don't know.
Let me see.
And the estimate to the car.
I never got out of my car.
Sir, are you positive it was her?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know it was her?
Because she drives a purple Thunderbird.
And it was the purple Thunderbird.
And almost every day she passes with her lights off, going down, up and down the streets.
How do you know that?
Because it's her. She works in Burger King.
And you've seen it?
I always go to Burger King. I see her every day.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY. On the internet, judgejudy.com.
Mr. Ware, listen to me, sir. You've convinced me.
Okay.
How's that?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Your Honor.
How are you related to her?
I'm her nephew.
Well, you better all work on her to get some help.
We try, Your Honor.
Has she ever been psychiatrically hospitalized?
Nope.
Well, she's going to find herself in a very, very difficult situation because this man is going to be tested. You know, I'm not saying he did everything right. I believe that he probably did a key on her car because I believe you that he keyed her car. I believe that you keyed her car, sir. Trust me. I believe that she's telling me the truth because she has told me that her sister's crazy. Why would she tell me that her sister's crazy and lie about you? Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I believe you keyed her car, and the estimate for the car is $1,200, right? Now, I also believe that she's made your life a holy hell. I don't believe that you're mentally unbalanced, but I believe that she's mentally unbalanced. The last 2 years that you did in prison, was that violation based solely on her complaint?
She said I stole her gold chains, threatened harassing her. She said I sodomized her. There's, what, 5 complaints? Sodomized her.
Okay. Forget about your gold chains. They're in the car. He keyed your car. To fix your car is $1,200. He says you've been harassing him, keying his car, and torturing him. I believe him. He's suing you for $5,000. I'm giving him $5,000. That means you get nothing, and he gets $3,800. Judgment for the defendant.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I'm just happy that finally a judge recognizes that she's lying.
I don't really care. I'm done with it. Period.
Trust no one.
Trust no one.
Trust no one. Be very careful of the people you choose to have in your life.
Year-old Maria Mode for a TV, stereo, VCR, and other things her husband left at Maria's when he moved out.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 582 on the calendar in the matter of Marshall Griffin versus Mode. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Which one is the husband?
Me.
How long have you been married?
About 1.5 years.
According to your complaint, your husband of 1.5 years moved out of your house and moved in with the defendant. And when he moved out of the house, he took some property. and he brought it to the defendant's house. Then he changed his mind. And he came home. Is he still home?
Well, we're working things out, you know.
Is he still home?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Mm-hmm. Sort of.
Sort of. That's what I figured. When you say sort of, where does he live the other sort of?
He has an apartment.
No. I think twice about working it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What stuff did he take from the house?
He took a set of 3 couches, 2
Just a minute. 3 couches.
It's a couch set, and it has a
Yeah.
large...
I gotcha.
Okay.
Sectional set,
Right.
right?
And then 2 entertainment centers.
2?
Right.
Yeah.
A cellular phone. A diamond pendant was missing. Earrings.
Did you take the diamond pendant? Just a second. What does that mean? Did you take her diamond pendant?
I didn't know the diamond pendant was gone. I didn't know. 'Cause
So
there
you
was,
didn't-
There was other people in the house.
Just a second. So the answer is you didn't take the diamond pendant.
No, I did not.
Forget the diamond pendant.
It was removed from the house, and he saw it at her house. That's why he's a witness here.
It was some things that was missing that I had seen when I was over
Just
at her
a
house.
Has she ever been in your house?
Yes, she was with him. Well, you need to ask him that. I don't know who was there when he removed the property. From my understanding, it was him and her. So when they were in there...
Were you ever at her house removing property?
No, I was outside. I had dropped him off to pick up his stuff. I was never in the house.
Let's get over the diamond pin. Go ahead.
The diamond pendant, the diamond earrings, a coffee maker, and a rug, and a bath and body set.
Step up here. What is your name?
Chris Griffin.
All right, Mr. Griffin. Where did you meet the defendant?
Just met her on a date line.
On a what?
On a date line.
What is that?
Just when you call, you just speak to people and you meet them. You can meet them and.
What
go
were you
out.
doing on a day line if you're married?
We was having a problem at the time, so you know.
Okay. Did you tell your wife you were moving out before you moved out?
Well, she kind of understood that I was thinking about leaving.
What does that mean? She understood. Did you tell her you were moving out?
Well, we was having problems, you know. I told her probably a couple weeks before that I was thinking about moving.
Where was she when you moved these things out of the house?
I don't know. She wasn't there.
She was not there.
Right.
What items did you take out of the house, sir?
I took the couches, I took my entertainment systems, and I took a phone.
Why did you take the couches?
I mean, I just felt that, you know, me and her had been together. We got them, and so I just had took them because, you know, I just fell out of spot. I took them, and then I said, well, I felt bad, so I was going to give her back her stuff. So I was like, I called her, and I told her, I said, I have your things, and I'll give them back to you if you want them.
All right, now you said you took my entertainment center.
Well, I was living with her, so it was ours.
So it was ours?
There was 2 of them. He bought one, and I bought one. So
How many did you take?
I took 2.
And you didn't leave her any?
Well, I was kind of upset at, you know, things that were going on, so I just...
You took both of them?
Yes.
What'd you do with them?
Brought them where I was staying at.
You brought them both to where you were staying?
Right. I took one, I had one where I was staying at, and then the other one I took and I pawned it.
All right. You see, Mr. Griffin, if you lie to me, it's not a very good thing.
I'm not lying to you.
Good. So first you said you took them both to her house, and then you pawned one.
Yeah, because I couldn't,
Just
you know.
a second. So you pawned one.
Yeah, I couldn't pawn the whole entertainment center. Just the
So you
just the
pawned
stereo.
one. One you pawned. What about the cell phone?
I didn't pawn that. It was at her house.
So the cell phone you left there.
Right.
What else did you pawn?
That was just my stereo. That's it. That's the only thing I went to the pawn shop was my stereo.
Where are the couches?
He sold those. I don't know who he sold them to, but when he came in and he wanted to move in with me, I told him, if you're going to move in, you're going to have to pay some money. You're going to have to pay me rent. And no, he did not just pick up the couches. He picked up the couches, he picked up a TV, he picked up a VCR, and he picked up a stereo. Now, the TV, the VCR, and the stereo were reported stolen 3 years ago from her, from Rent-A-Center, which I have the number and everything from the store from there. They couldn't give me in written documents. But they said if you call over there, they'll tell you that everything was stolen. And he told me that when she served me with the papers. I didn't know that she reported it stolen. And he did.
Which of the items were bought from?
It was an entertainment center, and it was stolen in May of '98, and I haven't seen them since.
So you're telling me now that you had 3 entertainment centers?
One of them was stolen.
Was one of the entertainment centers that you said he took one of the ones that you reported stolen?
No, that one has been missing from my house ever since I reported it stolen.
Show me the bills then for 3 entertainment centers.
I don't have the receipts on me. I do have a letter from her, though, since she's saying that she wanted him to move out and all this stuff. I just want you to know that I will always love you, and I'm keeping my word. I promise you that I will be here for you and stand by you.
May I see the
Written
letter?
to 999. I will always love you. Please come back to me and
What
all
does that have
that
to do
stuff.
with this case? What does that have to do with property?
She's saying that she, you know, told him he has to do this to get the property and all that type of stuff.
Listen to me, madam. Does this letter say anything about I'm keeping your property?
No, but...
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I knew where he was. He was arrested for beating me up. He
And
went
she
to
bailed
jail.
him out also.
He went to jail for
And moved
domestic
him back
violence.
in.
He went to jail for domestic violence, so he was in jail.
And later today,
Good lesson. Never buy a used car from a friend. Very bad thing to do.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nzinga Marshall Griffin claims her husband's former girlfriend, Maria Mode, kept their belongings her husband left after he moved back home.
So you have no bills for the 3 entertainment centers that you say you have?
I didn't ask for bills for the 3. I asked for the 2 for mine. I don't care about his.
Just a second.
Mine is the one that she sold,
Just
and I
a
have
second.
a witness that says that also.
That she sold your entertainment
Right.
center?
She
Let me
called
hear the,
him and told him.
Let me hear the witness. Step up, please. Name?
Mark Ford.
Mr. Ford. Did you have a conversation with the defendant?
Yes, I did.
When?
When she telephoned my house, wanting to know where Chris was. And I explained to her that I didn't know, and then she began to go on talking about the belongings that he had brought over there. And
What belongings?
The entertainment centers.
The entertainment
And the
centers?
Right.
Yeah.
Plural, too. And the
Okay.
couch, and the couches. Or
What did she say about them?
That she had sold them and that she had received the money for them.
Is that what she told you?
That's what she told me.
Why would she tell you that?
I don't know why she would tell me that.
I knew where he was. He was arrested for beating me up. He
And
went
she
to
bailed
jail.
him out also.
He went to jail for
And moved
domestic
him back
violence.
in.
He went to jail for domestic violence, so he was in jail.
Right.
He had called me and told me that he was going to go and bail Chris out of jail. Yeah, the
But
money.
you bailed him out.
Hey!
She
I
bailed
did.
him.
I
Don't
did
speak.
Okay. She bailed him.
I did have the money.
Just a second. Did you hear what I said? Mm-hmm. When she's talking, you don't talk. Then I'll give you a chance. Okay. You got a chance
I just
to
want to make
speak.
sure I get a chance to respond because she's full of lies.
Go ahead.
Okay, the money that was used to bail Chris out of jail was the money that was from the couches that he had sold, which was his money, the couches that he had sold.
Do you know who he sold them to?
No, I don't. And the stereo is still at the pawn shop. The police report's been made, and Rent-A-Center is supposed to pick up the stereo. So if you call right now, the store manager's name's on there, and he's willing to tell you that she reported all this stolen a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I've only known these people for like 3 months.
Yeah.
If he loved her so much, why does he have my name tattooed on his chest?
Listen to me.
Take your shirt off and show him
Hey,
that.
I don't want to
hang
see
covered up. You got to cover
Miss
it
Moore.
up. So what?
Hey,
So what?
Order.
I'm going to give you
Know
1,
what
2,
you're talking
3, and then
about.
then you're all out of here.
$2.99.
1,
I
2,
love you,
3.
Chris. Please come back to me. $2.99.
Case dismissed.
Parties are excused. Step out, please. Thank you.
She stole my stuff. She sold it, and I want my money back.
He's a loser. He's trash, and I put him out, and she took him back.
She has my things, and now she doesn't want to return them because I won't be with her.
And now the next case.
All parties on Stone versus Hilliard. Step forward, please.
32-year-old machinist Thomas Stone says he made monthly payments on a Honda Civic to former friend Pansy Hilliard, 36, but she repossessed it. He wants the car back.
Were you friends before you bought her car?
Yes.
Good lesson. Never buy a used car from a friend. Very bad thing to do. According to your complaint, Mr. Stone, you purchased this car from your former friend, 1990 Civic. Is that what it was? 91 Civic. Purchase price was $6,000, and you had an agreed the repayment schedule. You're supposed to give her $500 every month.
Yes.
You say that there came a time when she repossessed the car, and you say you repossessed the car because he stopped making the payments as he was supposed to. You subsequently sold the car. You are counterclaiming for the difference between what you sold him the car for and what you got for the car.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
And he wants his money back, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when did you purchase this car from her, sir?
The last week in January, around January 26th, 25th.
January of '98.
Yes.
And how many months did you drive the car?
About 6 months.
And you were supposed to pay her $500 a month
Plus insurance, yes.
on each of the 6 months.
Yes.
So show me receipts that you paid her.
I don't have any receipts.
Why not?
Because I paid her in cash, and she was a friend.
Mr. Stone, you bought the car for $6,000. You're supposed to pay her $500 a month. You have no receipts for the monthly payments?
No.
Is it your testimony, sir, under oath, that you paid her each month for the 6 months that you had the car $500?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're saying is you paid her a total of $3,000.
More than that, but all of it wasn't for payment. Because what happened was I rented a car. She rented me a convertible Camaro, and I had that for a month. And that came up to about $350.
Why did she rent you a car?
Because the car, the Honda, was damaged. What happened was right after I got the car home, my dad noticed that it had been damaged. It looked like somebody had danced on the hood. So I called her back, and I let her know that the car had been damaged. Well, she had already told me that it had been damaged, but I didn't know how bad it had been damaged.
Why didn't you look at it before you bought it?
Well, what happened was it was dirty. You couldn't see the dents in the hood and on the top.
Then you look, then, Mr. Stone, you know.
It was that dirty.
All right.
You're right.
Well, did she agree to pay for a rental car for you?
Yes, she did.
Is that right?
No, that's not. He paid for the rent a car. The insurance paid so much, and he paid it. He the one who went to ride around in a 5.0.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When you buy a car and take a loan from a bank, and you don't make the payments, the bank repossesses the car. You don't say to the bank, well, since you took the car back, you have to give me all my payments back. Can you imagine saying that to a bank?
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Thomas Stone claims he made payments on a Honda Civic to former friend Pansy Hilliard, then she repossessed it.
She has no responsibility whatsoever to pay for your rental car.
But I had the receipt for that. She did pay for that.
He gave me cash to pay. It was all in my name, but he gave me the money to pay the payments.
Oh, well, I still don't understand. Where's the $500? Did he pay you $500 each month?
For 3 months, yes.
And what happened at the end of 3 months?
He started getting short. He started paying $350. Then I couldn't call him. He never was around.
Oh, just a second. So for the first 3 months, he paid $500.
Correct.
That's $1,500.
Right.
All right. What about month 4?
Month 4, it was $350. He was $150 short.
Okay. And what about month 5?
He didn't even pay at all.
He didn't pay at all in month 5?
Right. Come month 6, on the 13th, I repossessed my car because of another payment not received by Thomas Stone.
Okay. And you have no receipts?
I have no receipts.
Okay. You say you received $1,850 from him in total?
Approximately about that much.
What do you mean approximately? This is not an approximate.
About
$1,500, you said $350, and then he didn't pay you anything for 2 months.
Correct.
And at the end of the second month, or in the second month that you didn't get paid, you came and you took the car.
Correct.
Okay, and you cannot establish that you paid her all of these payments.
I have no receipts.
Okay. Well, it doesn't strike me that somebody would have repossessed the car if you were making your payments on time.
The payments were made on time, Judge Judy.
Mr. Stone, it doesn't sound right to me, sir, unless you can give me some motive for this lady repossessing the car if you were making the payments on time. Why would she come and repossess the car?
Well, I think 2 reasons. I think one was because she was trying to schedule a vacation at the end of July, and I think she wanted to start a relationship, and I didn't want to have a relationship with her. I just wanted to help her out because she was under stress. And that's what she told me.
All right. So $1,850 is what you got from me. Now, you came and repossessed the car.
Yes.
And you sold it.
Correct. Traded it in.
You traded it in.
Right.
Okay. What did you trade it in for?
$3,000 to trade in.
Okay. You traded it in for a different car?
Correct.
For a new car for you?
For somebody else, my niece.
All right. Miss Hilliard, let me tell you this. You're not going to get anything, any difference between what he was supposed to pay you for the car and the car, because there are certain rules that you have to follow. One of the rules that you have to follow is that you have to mitigate damages. I'm going to explain to you what that means. That means in your situation, if you repossess this car and if you were contemplating going after him for any difference You have to sell the car to the highest possible bidder, which means that, and when you trade in a car for another car, everybody knows that you don't get top dollar for your car.
Correct.
You get, because dealerships give you less for the car because then they're going to resell it to somebody else. Aren't you amazed that I know that?
I like it.
What?
I like it.
Did you like that?
I like it.
Good. So that you're not going to get the difference. So far, you got $3,000 and you got $1,850 from him. So that's almost $5,000. And if you sold the car privately, you probably could have gotten all of the difference and you wouldn't have been out any out-of-pocket money.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY. On the internet, judgejudy.com.
Now, according to the calculations that I see, Mr. Stone, you had this car for, according to her, 5.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And 5.5 months, you paid a total of $1,850.
To be honest, I actually gave Pansy $500 before I ever even took the car.
Which was the first payment.
No, it was not a payment because I
Mr.
didn't
Stone, it's a very good lesson, sir. What you do is, when you make payments on a car, you either pay by check, by money order, or you get a receipt.
Yeah, I see now.
Okay? You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. So you drove this car for 5 months.
Yes.
And according to my calculations, it cost you $330 a month to lease that car. I mean, you didn't expect to get that money back.
$330.
Yeah, sure. You had the car for 5 months. You paid $1,850. It comes out to $330. Is that right, Bert? $370. $370 a month to drive around in a car. You didn't expect to get that money back.
Well, excuse me, that's not the only car I have. I didn't buy that car as transportation.
You shouldn't have bought it at all. Listen, Mr. Stone, courts don't care why you bought it. I don't care if you bought it because you felt sorry for her.
I did.
I don't care if you bought it because you felt sorry for her. I don't care if you bought it because you wanted to be a friend to her, that you wanted to have another car to look at, you wanted a car for your father to drive, for your brother to drive. I don't care why you bought it. You bought it. And if you bought it from her like you bought it from a bank, right? And because that's really what she was your banker. When you buy a car and take a loan from a bank and you don't make the payments, the bank repossesses the car. You don't say to the bank, well, since you took the car back, you have to give me all my payments back. Can you imagine saying that to a bank? No. Okay. The bank says to you, I'm selling the car at public auction, and whatever the difference is between the amount that I get for the car now and what you owe on the car, you're still going to be responsible for. She's no different. You had a contract. You didn't live up to the contract. She repossessed the car. She sold it. She's not going to get the difference from you in the price that she sold it for because she didn't sell it at the kind of an auction that ensured that she got the most money. She traded it in, which ensured that she got the least amount of money for the car. So your lawsuit's dismissed, and so is her counterclaim. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy, 38-year-old homemaker Susan Potts is suing her ex-husband, 38-year-old gas company employee John Potts, for half of his retirement check.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Your Honor, this is case number 403 on the calendar in the matter of Potts versus Potts. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mrs. Potts, you were married to the defendant, according to your papers, for 14 years.
Yes.
And you have 4 children together.
Yes.
You are now divorced.
Yes.
When were you divorced?
Middle of August, the divorce became final.
And according to your complaint, your husband received sometime after the divorce.
After the divorce was filed.
After the divorce was filed,
Right.
a check from his retirement fund, which
Yes.
was community property. And this check from his retirement was $11,600 and some odd dollars. He was served with an order, according to you, not to dispose of those funds, and he says he spent it. Right?
Yes, I spent it.
Don't you think she's entitled to half of that?
No.
It's not an answer. Why?
Just the circumstances leading up to it, and when we lost our home, I was left high and dry with absolutely nothing.
When did you lose your home?
I turned the keys over December 13th, 96.
Did you live together after 1996?
No.
No, ma'am.
Well, what did the house have to do with your retirement?
Well, I was homeless. I was left with nothing. I don't have any family out here. I was left with absolutely nothing. That was a way for me to live. You know, I was hungry. I was cold. What led up to this is her obsession with money, and that's what ruined our relationship, our marriage.
Well, how'd you lose your house?
Couldn't pay the bills.
He lost his job.
I lost my job. She lost faith, and
Just a second. You lost your job. You had 4 children.
Yes.
Had you always stayed home with the children?
Just the last year and a half or 2 that we lived together. Before that, I worked.
And what kind of job did you have?
I worked for a local utility company as a welder.
Why did you lose the job? Come on. Why'd you lose the job for?
I lost it over drugs.
So you lost the job over drugs, and she doesn't have an obsession for money. She had an obsession with living with somebody who was having a problem with drugs.
No.
No, I had an obsession with feeding my 4 children.
Okay. When did you receive this money? What date?
Somewhere around the 1st or middle of March of 97.
So 5 months later, you got this money.
Well, it took that long because she put stops on it, and she did this. She didn't file for the divorce until the middle of February, or the end of February 1st of March. And I thought it was, I did not take it seriously.
Didn't take what seriously?
Her filing for divorce.
Having a girlfriend should have made it take it a little bit more
Well,
seriously.
look, Mr. Potts, so far I've heard a lot of fast dancing. And I haven't heard a legal reason why she, as your partner for 14 years, who has your 4 children, and if you were cold and hungry and starving and homeless and all of those other things, I assume that you weren't taking care of yourself, and I also assume that you weren't taking care of your children. Is that right?
I made sure my children were being taken care of.
That's not my question. I didn't say your children were being taken care of. I said you weren't taking care of your children.
No, I was not. I was unable to.
You're never unable to take care of your children. You have to stop using drugs and get a job, collect cans, do whatever you have to do, go to work at a fast food place so that you make enough money so that you can help take care of 4 children that you brought into the world. Certainly you're not going to be able to totally support them.
I did that for 12 and a half years until I'm not the only one that had a drug problem at the time.
Okay.
And drugs ruined our life.
But you left without the children.
I didn't leave. She left.
I had to take the kids someplace, so we went to my parents' house. So
She
the
got
children had a
violent.
place
I
to
had to
sleep.
ask her to leave because she got violent.
Okay. Were you home when you asked her to leave?
Yes, we were in our home.
So she packed up and she left with the children.
After I got out of jail, he had me thrown in jail for spousal
I
abuse.
did not have her thrown in jail.
But yes, I took my children with me.
Where was he when you took the children?
I believe he was in the home
Is that
somewhere.
right?
He was in the process of moving, so.
Where were you moving to?
I had nowhere to go, ma'am.
Storage unit, basically.
Yes.
Packing up our stuff to put it in storage because we had to get out of the house.
Where did you go to live?
I lived in motels for about 2 weeks, and then a friend of mine asked me, his mother asked if I needed a place, and I said yes, and she said that I could stay in one of the rooms there and work for room and board.
You working now?
No, ma'am, I am currently unemployed.
How do you support yourself?
Cans and bottles and things like that.
where
I
are you
work
living?
sporadically when I can find a job, but with the divorce and...
Where are you living?
I live in a camper in a driveway, in a friend of my friend's driveway.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I didn't want the divorce. I still don't want the divorce. I mean, it's too late now, but this whole thing is ruined.
A girlfriend has a way of ruining a marriage.
And later today,
You acknowledge it as a debt, madam. There's a difference in saying he's given you gifts. You acknowledge in writing, your writing, that you owe him money. And the
Because
only
I felt obligated to him, and that's
good.
the
So
truth.
if you felt obligated, you have to pay him.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Potts claims her ex-husband, John Potts, owes her for half of his retirement check.
Did you ever go to the Bank of America with him in March of 1997 when he handed you a check for $6,500?
Yes, ma'am. I went to the bank. He didn't hand me the check. He handed over a personal check
for $6,400 to the bank manager. He had called me and said, let's go to the bank and cash a check, because I had a checking account, he did not.
You mean the check for $11,600?
That was my impression, that that's what the check was for. When we were sitting at the bank manager's desk, he pulls out this personal check, written on the personal check from this friend of his that he was able to use to cash the $11,000 check. It was written that he had received $5,000 cash. So this was the remainder of it. He had sent him a personal check. So we sat down with the managers, and we're going to have John added to my checking account so we could cash this check. When the bank manager entered his Social Security number into their computer, it came back that he owed another bank over $2,000, and they wouldn't touch that check.
That was a bank error, and that has been cleared up.
You write in your answer, I had a check for $6,500 to cash, and I was going to give her her portion.
Exactly.
While sitting at the bank manager's desk, she grabbed the check and tore it up.
Yes, ma'am, she did.
That's not true.
Well, but there was more of a reason for that. When you were sitting at the bank manager's office, they came back and said that you would owed another bank $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
I don't remember.
Well. And I was so furious that when the bank manager said that, and when I saw that it was a personal check, and he'd already spent $5,000, I grabbed the check up off of the desk of the bank managers, and I walked out of the bank, leaving him there to walk home. And took the check with me and called the gentleman who had written John the check to see if maybe he would help me.
All right. Let me see a copy of your divorce judgment. Ms. Potts, this says, the petitioner declares, the petitioner, that's you, that there is no community property or quasi-community property or debts to be disposed of by this court.
Mm-hmm. Because at the time there wasn't any. It was all gone. This was just in August of this year.
Oh, I understand that, but there was still community property. Why didn't you go back to the Superior Court and indicate that if you, in fact, had this outstanding amount of money, that there was an outstanding amount of money that was owed to you?
When I had a paralegal help me with this. I was trying to do it myself, but at the very end, I kept getting it kicked back from the court because the wording was wrong. And she informed me that my best course of action would be to take him to civil court once the divorce became final, or I would have to begin the divorce proceedings over again. And I didn't want to do that because he would step in and cause a problem at that time. When the divorce was going through, he was fine with it. And I didn't want him to throw in any curveballs to stop the divorce from going on.
Your Honor, I didn't want the divorce. I still don't want the divorce. I mean, it's too late now, but this whole thing is ruined.
A girlfriend has a way of ruining a marriage.
Well, the girlfriend may have a way of ruining the marriage.
She lied and stole from us, and my God.
My God. Listen, you went through a divorce in the Superior Court. The Superior Court of this jurisdiction took an awful lot of time in going through your papers and everything else and maintained this case on the calendar for 2 years. According to your sworn depositions, there was no community property. Let me see a copy of the check for $11,600.
I don't have a copy of the check.
Yeah. Ms. Potts, I'm not satisfied that you sustained your burden, that you are entitled to half of this money. This case is dismissed. That's all.
All right, is that excused? You may step out.
Very hard to see that he wouldn't do anything to help me or his children. $11,000 and poof, it's all gone, and he gave me $100 for school clothes, and that was it.
Emotionally, I've been unable to keep a job. Things are getting better, and I hope that in the future I'll be able to take care of business.
And now the next case.
All parties on Poe versus White. Step forward, please.
66-year-old William Poe claims the daughter of his former lover, 44-year-old postal worker Sharon White, owes him for several loans. Sharon says they were gifts.
Mr. Poe, I've read your complaint and I've read your answer. It appears that for many years, since 1968, according to your papers, you had a relationship with the defendant's mother.
Off and on.
And you had a very lovely relationship with the defendant, who looks like she was a baby in 1968.
Pretty young.
You are no longer involved with this lovely young lady here.
That's right.
And your complaint says that over the last several years, you had made a series of loans to the defendant for a variety of things, totaling a little excess of $1,000.
Yes, ma'am.
You want the money back?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's start.
9/21/92, I loaned the defendant $1,500. And in April of '93, she paid me $300 on that account. I
Let me see
also
this list.
gave her, off of this account, $1,000 for therapy for her son.
So
This is a
you gave her
ledger.
a credit for $1,000
Yes, ma'am.
of what she owes.
He gave me $1,500 is what the gift was. None of these are loans. These were all gifts.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
The interest rate will be at 19.80. Why?
Took it off of
Which is what
bank
it
statement.
would cost me at Bank of America. Mr. Poe.
I'm more than happy to take whatever interest you say I can have.
Closed captioning sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. William Poe says Sharon White owes him for loans made during the relationship he had with her mother.
You have added on here interest, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever discuss with her interest?
At the original time when I took and gave her the $1,500, I told her that it would have to have interest added onto it because it was coming from a line of credit
You never did.
where I took the money out of the line of credit.
How old are you?
I object.
How old are you?
44.
You're 44. You made certain payments to him.
Correct.
Because I see he has marked paid, whole balance sheet of what you paid.
Right.
So evidently you assumed that some of these were loans.
I felt obligated to him.
No, just a minute. I understand you said that. You felt obligated. You say that in your answer.
Right.
But clearly, over the course of years, from 1992 to 1998, he gave you certain amounts of money, and some of it was a lot. $10,000?
I never received $10,000, Your Honor.
Who did you make these loans to?
This lady.
Directly? Or through her mother?
Directly to her. I have a letter here dated 1996 when she requests to know what the balance is on the account.
Okay.
I also have a letter that I responded to that.
Okay. You sent him this letter in November of 1996 asking to know what your balance was.
He claimed that I owed him a lot of money, and I didn't understand what it was I owed him.
No. It says, you start off by saying, Dear Bill, thank you so much for all the help you have been to me since I have known you. I really appreciate it.
That's true.
I really don't know what the balance is on my debt to you. That's what you say.
Right.
All right. So, clearly, you believed in 1996 that there was a debt. That's the word that you use, debt.
He kept telling me that I owed him all this money, and I wasn't clear on what it was that I owed him.
Now, let me see what you wrote back.
That's
You weren't
why.
clear. Okay, so in response to this, he wrote you and he said, it's been a long time since you made any payments to me, and you still owe me $1,018.48, which I would appreciate your paying me back. Did you pay him anything back?
I paid him some money. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe $300.
Since 1997?
Yes.
Since you got this letter from him?
I believe I did pay him some money.
Your Honor, I have 3 letters that accompanied the next 3 payments in there, the first one of which was a $25.48 payment, which was the odd cents in my letter.
Then you have a letter here, Miss White. It says, Dearest Bill, you're absolutely correct. You've been more than fair and patient and extremely generous. I will pay you. And it goes on.
Right, because I felt obligated to him. I did. He was always extremely generous to me. He was like a father figure to me. And I always felt, you know, that he was more than generous to me. That I do agree.
So
May
why
I
haven't
say
you
something?
paid? What?
Mr. Poe was always extremely generous. After we broke up for 3 years, he gave every one of my grandchildren something for Christmas. And not just simplistic gifts, very expensive gifts. And my daughter was never under the understanding that she was to repay him everything. Now he wants to be repaid. Now, you know, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me why all of a sudden he wants to be repaid.
Your daughter is 44 years old.
That's correct.
When she was 43 years old, she wrote him a letter. She said, I have a debt to you. You've been patient in my repaying it. She's an adult.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY. On the internet, judgejudy.com.
You seem to acknowledge this debt despite what you say now, Miss White. You seem to acknowledge that you owe him money.
He's always given me money over the years.
You acknowledge it as a debt, madam. There's a difference in saying he's given you gifts. You acknowledge in writing, your writing, that you owe him money. And
because I felt obligated to him, and that's
good.
The truth.
So if you felt obligated, you have to pay him. Now, how much did you pay him in with these 3 notes?
It's the next 3 items on the ledger sheet that I gave you there. There was $25.48 and $50, if I recall right, and then $100. Here is my letter of August the 1st of '98, where I sent my last request for the payment, which left the sum that was due at that time, plus the interest.
So that the remaining balance is $843. Is that right?
At that time, that was the balance minus any interest.
The interest rate will be at 19.80. Why?
Took it off of
which is what
bank
it
statement.
would cost me at Bank of America.
No, he certainly never said
He never ever.
Shh. Mr. Poe.
I'm more than happy to
That's
take whatever
usury.
interest you say I can have.
I'm not prepared to say you can have any interest because I'm not sure that you took that when you discussed this money with her, when you gave it to her, that you discussed interest.
At the beginning, we discussed it.
We did
At
not.
this point in time, when that letter went out, there was no discussion of the interest. There was just my statement that, hey, I'm going to charge interest from this point on.
Well, you can't do that unilaterally, sir. Contract cannot be made by one person.
May I object?
About what?
He never said anything about the interest, and had it been, if it wasn't for my mother and him breaking up, I would not, they would never ever come to me to ask for this money back.
You
and
may
that's the
be,
truth.
Miss White, you may be absolutely correct. The fact that he might have forgiven it, were they still together, does not diminish the fact that he says it was a debt. You acknowledge in writing that it was a debt. You acknowledge in writing and by payment, by making payments, that it was a debt. My only issue with him is he cannot unilaterally modify that agreement by now charging you 20% interest like he was a very expensive credit card, which he's not. So this $843 is without interest.
That's right.
Okay. Judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $843. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
And it wasn't ever a loan. We always thought he was just being extremely generous.
I think the judge was more than fair. I think I had the proper evidence that showed it was loans and not a gift. I couldn't afford to give gifts away like that.